Hello and welcome to WGTC Radio, the official podcast of entertainment website We Got This Covered. I'm Jonathan Lack.
And I'm Sean Chapman.
And we are here to talk about stuff for the 21st time. Our podcast is old enough to drink, Sean.
Yes it is. Congratulations, podcast.
Happy birthday.
It's been a long time coming.
Yes. 21 weeks. Okay.
Not 21 years. That's not what we're trying to imply. That would be pretty incredible if we had been going for 21 years. We wouldn't be born yet.
Yes.
And we'd still have been making the podcast. So
one day, Sean. One day. Anyway, we are here to talk about some stuff this week. The main topic of our episode will be a little Call of Duty retrospective. It's sort of interesting. We've talked about video games a lot on this podcast, yes?
Yes. I mean, last week we talked like 3 hours about Halo 4.
Yes, and inevitably we wind up mentioning Call of Duty, and we wind up bad-mouthing it for reasons that we will explain later on. But we thought, with Call of Duty Black Ops 2 coming out... and
it came out last Tuesday, like a day after our last podcast came out.
Right, and making literally unholy amounts of money.
Yeah, as Call of Duties want to do nowadays.
Yes. We thought maybe we should just set the record straight and say, kind of lay down what our thoughts are on Call of Duty, how we've played it, when we go back pretty far to the beginning of the series, at least 2 on Xbox, and, maybe talk about that, because our thoughts are much more positive on the whole than you've probably been led to believe.
Yeah, and Call of Duty has become such a huge thing, and when Call of Duty 4 came out, it really changed sort of the landscape of multiplayer on consoles. I think it's just like something... It would be interesting to talk about and sort of weigh in, because a lot of the sort of the really more hardcore gaming audience is really, really critical of Call of Duty in a way that I think is kind of unfair. Now, I'm guilty of it too at times, but I think it's an interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah, it definitely is, and topical because the game has literally outgrossed every entertainment franchise of all time.
Yeah,
here's my question.
To the point where I think Disney's going to buy it.
Yeah.
That's going to come out like next month. Disney bought Activision Blizzard.
I honestly don't think Disney is this profitable. I mean, what is Activision going to do with this money? They've just made like a Scrooge McDuck vault for all their employees with all the money from these games?
I think the CEO got a Scrooge McDuck vault. I don't think all the employees of Activision. I don't think any of the employees of Activision.
They could. I'm just saying they have that much.
They could, yes.
Yeah. But I agree. They probably would not.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will talk about Call of Duty later in this podcast. That will be the main topic. But before then, we're going to cover some odds and ends. Just various little news things we want to talk about. Sean's going to talk a little bit about the Wii U, which is launching the day before.
The day we're recording this podcast.
But the day before it comes out.
Yes.
So we'll talk a little bit about the Wii U and what we've learned about it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some movies that are coming out this Thanksgiving. We'll cover another couple little various news items. But first, the other big thing that came out this week and made unholy amounts of money is the Twilight saga, Breaking Dawn Part 2. Sean, what are your thoughts on Twilight?
I saw the first movie. I thought it was hilarious. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I hate...
That's as far as I feel I can really say about it, because that's as far as I've actually been exposed to Twilight firsthand.
Right. I did the supposedly journalistic, I would call it masochistic thing, several years ago and actually read the book.
That's fucked up. That was fucked up when you did that.
I know, and read and watched all the movies and wrote my thoughts on it, so I could offer educated criticism. They're flaming pieces of shit, all of it. But I do agree. Watch that first movie. It's funny.
We'll watch it with some friends. Don't watch it alone. That's just sad.
Yeah, but get some friends together and riff on it. It's one of the most poorly made movies I've ever seen. Certainly one of the most poorly made, like, blockbuster.
Yeah, like big theatrical movies. It's really poorly made.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how it went from that to, like, now they've got Oscar-winning directors making them.
Well, because it made a lot of money. That's how it went to that.
Right. I know, I'm just saying.
I think it's highly believable how it got to that.
Yeah. I gotcha. Anyway, so this final movie came out. I saw it last week at an early screening, and, man, it's Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2, which first, how ridiculous is it that they took that shitty Breaking Dawn book and made 2 movies out of it?
I don't know. We were just talking about this where I think hopefully people are calling bullshit on the splitting movies into 2 parts thing. I think it's bullshit. It's
so weird, and I mean...
It's just completely counterintuitive to what a movie is.
Yeah.
I really hate it.
Yeah, and it's odd because I think there have been effective uses of it, and then there are obviously just non-effective commercial uses like this, where literally Breaking Dawn Part 2 is most of the book, like probably 3/4 of it, is in that first film. And there's just this one little thing that happens at the end of the Breaking Dawn book, as I understand it. And they turn that into a whole movie, but only sort of. So let me explain.
Okay, explain.
Alright. First thing I want to say is that Breaking Dawn Part 2 is the best Twilight movie, partially because it is self-aware of how stupid it is, in parts. And so you get great scenes in the beginning, like Kristen Stewart fist-fighting a mountain lion. It's awesome. I mean, that's worth the price of admission right there.
Yeah, I can't even picture that. That seems so completely ridiculous.
Yeah. It's like, she's in the forest, that is the great thing, too, is that she's a vampire in this movie, so you get the crazy Kristen Stewart performance that's been sort of awful in other movies, but is kind of fun here, because now it makes more sense with the character. And so now she's got the terrible running effects, where she'll, like, run through the forest like, the Roadrunner was just, like...
Yeah, it'll just, like, blur the legs, and it's like, oh, she's running really, really fast now.
Yeah, they're awful effects.
They did the effect in fucking Photoshop.
Yeah, pretty much. And so she'll be doing that, and then she's like, because Edward tells her, oh, you have to feed now. And so she goes and she finds a deer, and she's going to kill this, poor defenseless little deer and suck its blood. And then a mountain lion comes, she's like, no! And she, like, tackles the mountain lion and punches it out, and then, like, tears its throat out.
Wait, why does she tackle and kill the mountain lion? Why did she do that?
Because it went after her deer.
What? But she was just drinking the deer's blood, right? So she got what she needed from the deer.
No, she didn't. She didn't attack the deer yet.
So it was going after her food. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
It makes more sense.
I was
but
a little bit confused. It sounded like she was eating a deer, then a mountain lion showed up and she beat the shit out of the mountain lion.
that would be an even better version of the scene. And then, of course, she comes back and you find out that Jacob, the shirtless werewolf, has fallen in love with her baby. And this is real, by the way. If you don't know anything about Twilight, go read the Breaking Dawn plot synopsis on Wikipedia. It'll take you 2 minutes and you'll laugh really hard because it's really stupid. The gist of it is Bella and Edward, the two vampire people now, she was a human, and when she was a human, he got her knocked up. She died in childbirth, giving birth to this like monster baby. It's not really a monster, but I would call it a monster because it's a fucking freak of nature. But, anyway... Then she gets turned into a vampire, blah, blah, blah. But Jacob, the shirtless werewolf, comes in, and when he sees the baby for the first time, he falls in love with it. Now, they call this imprinting, and it's like a thing that werewolves, like when they see the love of their life, like they know who they're destined to be with. It's like a process. It's like they know now they're destined forever. But the gist of it is he falls head over heels in love with a baby. And he admits this to Bella early on, and it's a really funny scene where she's like beating the shit out of Jacob and shouting at him like, "You imprinted on my daughter, you bastard!" And it's great. That part of the movie is excellent.
The thing I love about this is that it's so clearly just making up bullshit with the imprinting thing. Why werewolves? Like werewolves of like the supernatural creatures. That's so fucking weird, the imprinting thing. It has nothing to do with any sort of werewolf mythos.
Well, technically in Twilight, they're not really werewolves. They're Native Americans who, because they're in tune with nature, can transform into animals.
Those are fucking werewolves.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but...
It's also racist.
Yeah, no,
Americans.
It's the printing thing. That's just stupid. That's so fucking stupid.
And creepy as hell.
Creepy.
Because as the movie goes along, there's only so many jokes they can make about it, and eventually Jacob is with this baby, or what becomes a little girl because she grows really fast. In every
bullshit.
Yeah, in every single scene, and he's like holding her, and he's like holding her hand, and he like won't let go of her, and he's like, "I can't leave. I've imprinted on her." I'm like, you just want to fuck a baby, Jacob. Just admit it. Like,
yeah,
it's if you're gonna be a pedophile, own up to it.
This is just beyond. This is not pedophilia. It's like way beyond that into a whole other fucked up realm.
I mean, there are a few creepier things I can imagine than like the actual like full on like horrible child abuse and all these things. Then falling in love with a baby and like waiting for it to grow up so you can marry and have sex with it.
Yeah,
that's so creepy. And this baby grows fast, so when it's 7 years old, he can marry and have sex with it. And they say that in the movie.
Yeah, when it's 7 years old sort of in time, but it's like biologically like 18 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll be stuck there until it like dies 200 years later. It's weird.
It just seems like the rules seem so complicated all of a sudden.
They are complicated all of a sudden. And anyway, so the actual plot, as it were, of Breaking Dawn Part 2 is that now that... here, let me back up. there are many problems with Twilight, but if you want to narrow it down to like what the core like narrative critical flaw would be in this series,
So it's really bad.
yes. But in terms of specific flaw, it's that there's no stakes on any level for any of the characters or any of the situations throughout the series. It's just Bella, who is this thoroughly horrible human being, we can all agree on that,
Yeah.
falls in love with this really boring vampire who's not even exciting enough to kill people once in a while. And she doesn't really fall in love. She just really wants to have sex with him, and he really just kind of wants to have sex with her, but he wants to wait until they're married because he's a Christian vampire.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah. That's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's really just the plot. They want to fuck, and they got to get married before they can fuck, and once in a while a rogue vampire will come along and Edward will rip its throat out, or not rip its throat out, that would be kind of cool. He rips its head off because vampires are like Pez dispensers. You pull the head off and then they really can't do anything, and their heads just kind of pop.
I mean, well, that to be fair, that is if you're ever encountered with a supernatural creature, rule number 1: try to decapitate it. That is how you would. That's how you kill anything. So
Right.
fair enough. That's how you kill vampires half the time, anyway. So fucking just cut their heads off.
But they don't cut their heads off. They pull.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've seen the first movie. It looks terrible.
It is. And again, effects have not gotten any better.
For some reason, because they make enough money for the effects to get better. They certainly make that much money.
What's odd is that the budgets have not really gone up. I mean, maybe a little bit, but they're not spending a lot on these movies that they make a lot on. Which
I guess that's kind of smart because they spend almost no money on them and they make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Why spend more money on them than if they're just going to keep on making a shit ton of money?
Exactly. They may have spent more on this last one, but it was also 2 parts, so that would make a little more sense.
Yeah.
You got more to shoot. But anyway, so where was I? All right, so that's really just the plot, is that she just wants this vampire to, marry her and turn her into a vampire for reasons that don't make a whole lot of sense. And that's really all there is to it. There's no stakes. Bella has to work for absolutely nothing in the series. There's nothing working against her. It's just she's got a really easy life. She apparently never has to get a job or go to college or anything. It's just she wants to drop out of school and have sex with her vampire boyfriend for eternity, which she gets to do. So Breaking Dawn Part 2, it opens, and I think, well, there's a lot of funny things. I'm like, well, the plot hasn't gotten any better, because it opens and you find out they've built her a house in the woods for her and Edward that, she'll never have to pay rent on or anything, and they can just live out the rest of their days of eternity in peace and not have to worry about anything. So again, no stakes. She got to the end of this story and got a happy ending without working for anything. But then, through an extraordinary set of really stupid coincidences, wherein one vampire thinks they see something, but they don't really see it, but they report it to the Vampire High Council, who believe this person, even though they really have no reason to believe that person, so they come and do stuff. It's really stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Vampire High Council, the Volturi, wants to kill Bella and Edward's child, Renesmee, because they think it's an immortal child.
Renesmee.
Yeah, they...
Jesus. That name. Where the fuck does that name come from? Renesmee.
I think Bella's mother in the series is Esme, and Edward's mother is Ren something.
So they just did like Dragon Ball Z fusion rules on the naming. It's just like, it's Gotenks.
Yeah.
But it's Renesmee.
To be fair, Gotenks is a much more eloquent melding of names than Renesmee.
Yeah.
Anyway, they want to kill the little girl, and so all so anyway, while that's not a good story and it's not much of a plot, it's something. Like, it actually kind of addresses the fact that there's never been stakes in this series, right? It's like, for once, they're in a little bit of danger and they're going to have to work if they want to protect this family unit she's built. And I'm like, all right, you've gotten to the point of narrative competence. Or close to narrative competence. The whole Jacob falling.
You've achieved story status.
Yes.
You've gotten to that point.
So good for you, Twilight. Turns out this is really mostly invented for the movie. This kind of happens in the book, but it's not a huge deal, because basically what happens in the book is the Volturi come, the Cullens, the good vampires with Bella, they've gathered some witnesses who know what the baby actually is. They present their evidence, and the Volturi are like, oh, all right, and they leave. This great climax.
What a disappointing, stupid way to resolve the primary, conflict in the book.
Yeah. Well, in the movie, they make it into a whole film where they've got to gather all the vampires and train for battle, and there's actually some fun stuff they do with some of the other vampire characters, mostly because they get some fun actors to play the parts. But in any case, the Volturi come and they don't sort of accept the Cullens' evidence, so there's a big battle, and it's not a great battle. It's sort of just decently directed, decently special effects, and all this sort of stuff. But it's kind of cool. There's some good moments, and a lot of characters that we're supposed to care about, and the real fans of the series very much do care about, they die. And that's interesting. That's what a narrative should be at the end for like a big story like this, is that if you're going to have stakes, you also have to have some payoff. So there's actual sacrifice made, and they actually have to kind of think for once about the nature of eternity, and that, they've given their souls up so they can live for eternity with their loved ones, but if their loved ones die, well, they're totally fucked.
Yeah.
And so characters are dying left and right. It's kind of interesting. There's some cool kills that happen. There's some characters on the Volturi side who we hate, who it's kind of fun to see them get taken down, like the little girl vampire played by Dakota Fanning, who's not really a little girl anymore, which is kind of a continuity error in the series, but in any case, you get to see her decapitated. Really cool. You get to see the main bad guy by Michael Sheen. He's decapitated and set on fire, and you think it's really awesome. And then once Bella and Edward have taken out, the final bad guy, Michael Sheen, it turns out it was all a dream. Or a projection or something, because Alice, the vampire played by Ashley Greene, who has like future seeing powers, has just projected this image to the Volturi to show them what will happen in case they cross with the Cullens. And
apparently a much more interesting movie happens.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, we can't have that.
No.
And
then the Volturi are like, oh, okay, and they leave. And so
again, thrilling conclusion to the primary conflict in the movie.
So they almost took the necessary steps, the filmmakers, to kind of correct problems in the book as best they could, and then they just sort of erase that. Now we're back to the book.
They're like, see, if we could actually have fun with this is the movie we could make, but we can't. So this is the movie you actually get. So we're going back to the bullshit, and it's like the resolution is no, this is all just a misunderstanding. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
And then they go back, Bella and Edward, and they just live their lives, and that's fine. No one on either side of the conflict died or had to give up anything. Bella got through all of this without having to sacrifice an iota of anything.
Other than, the future of her daughter, Renesmee, who is now destined to be with this werewolf guy.
Yeah.
Presumably against her will.
Yes. No, at the end, they say, you can be with our baby, and then Jacob says to Bella, and this is the best part of the whole movie, so should I start calling you Mom? It's awesome. It's awesome.
It's just highlighting how fucking creepy it is because they're the same age.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, that's... Jesus Christ. That's fucked up.
I don't think that could be any more creepy at that point. So, and this poor little girl who has no say in life.
She's just been imprinted upon when she was an infant. It's like, nope, now you have to be with the shirtless werewolf guy.
But then the best part of the movie.
It's actually... She's fucked anyway because she's named Renesmee.
Yeah.
Think of how awful it would be to go through life named Renesmee.
It'd be terrible, just like trying to get teachers to spell your name right.
Yeah.
It'd be awful.
The playground abuse would be terrible.
Absolutely.
I want to see that movie. I want to see Renesmee growing up and just her awful, terrible life as the result of the end of the Twilight series.
They should do that. Okay, so the last scene of Breaking Dawn Part 2, and then we'll move on, but this is really funny, so I want to mention it. It's the last scene, Bella and Edward, they're lying in that field of flowers they're always in. It's really colorful, and Bella's like, oh, Edward, don't you remember all we've been through to get here? And it starts this little montage, and it's all they went through over the series. But it can only be about 20 seconds long, because nothing happened in this series. So basically the montage is it starts and it's all in black and white. They put it through Instagram or something. And first, it shows Bella getting attracted to Edward, and then it shows him, saving her from a car crash or something. And then it does a little bit from the second movie, New Moon, where he's gone and she's trying to kill herself. And then it completely skips the third movie because nothing happened in the third movie. And it skips all of 4 and 5 except their wedding. And then comes back. And they're like, we worked so hard, and I'm like, no, you didn't!
You didn't do anything!
Nothing happened! So they at the end
you had pretty much the most normal possible relationship you could have between a human and a vampire.
Yeah.
It's there's just nothing happened.
Yep. And so, and I love that the movie just proves that to you. It's like, look at what happened. Nothing. The end, and then they do the...
Thanks for the money!
And did I tell you they did the really cheesy thing, too, where, they're making out, the movie fades to black, and then it fades over the text of the final page of the book, and then the book closes? It's like the end of a Disney Snow White movie.
Jesus! Like treating it like it's some sort of, classic fairy tale.
Yeah.
We've gone through so much, and now they can live happily ever after, and you can close the book.
Yep.
Thank God we can close that book.
Yeah, it's closed.
It's been a long time coming. It seems like this is the last of Twilight that we will see, presumably.
No, they're planning on doing spin-offs.
Oh, God.
They've said.
Is it a Renesmee spin-off? Please tell me it's a Renesmee.
I would hope, but we'll see. And they're talking about maybe a TV show and maybe rebooting the series with other actors and just doing the story again.
There's no way that would work. I can't imagine that would pan out.
We shall see.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a good test to see how you can kill this franchise that basically everybody hates now, even though it makes a lot of money. Not a lot of people really like it.
No, and even, this is the thing I should say, is I was in this is an early screening mainly for fans. It had some seats for critics like me, but this is for the fans. And so it's a full theater full of fans who should, in theory, really love this stuff and take it seriously. They don't take it seriously. All the stuff I said I laughed at, they laughed at too. And when at the end you find out it was all a hoax with the battle, everyone went, "Ah!" And it's like, I think that was the only time I was verbally with them on something. I was like, "Yeah, ah."
They almost made a good movie, or at least an interesting movie.
And I mean, the appeal of the series is just totally skin deep. I mean, you can tell when the opening credits come up and it says Taylor Lautner's name, and all the girls in the theater go, "Woo!" And then like Michael Sheen's name comes up, and he's a great actor, just really great British acting royalty, awesome. No one claps for him, or Bunk from The Wire. It's just it's weird, but. So I think,
and the people who like Twilight, even those people call bullshit on Breaking Dawn. Like everyone that I know who likes Twilight, just like, no, Breaking Dawn, it got awful.
Yeah, nobody likes
it. Even they recognize that the series, that even Twilight managed to jump the shark, which is impressive.
Yeah, no, it's very impressive. But when you make like an anti-abortion argument by having your main character get pregnant with a vampire spawn. That's jumping the shark most royally.
When you have one of your main characters imprint on a baby, you're done. You've done fucked up, and it's over. Like, I can't imagine that Twilight, despite their earnest efforts, would be able to continue past this point.
Yeah. All right. So that's Twilight. Hopefully, that's the last we'll ever speak of it, except to make occasional jokes because they are fun to make.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of happy that this
is over. I am too. So.
Even though the first movie was fucking hilarious.
Yes. Just watch the first movie for some of the wonderful special effects and wonderful acting.
Truly wonderful special effects.
Yes. All right, so Sean, today, or yesterday if you're listening to the podcast.
Hopefully you are.
Yes.
Or else you're not hearing this at all. So,
Hello, Ether.
Yeah.
The Wii U, Nintendo's new console, has launched.
And the first wave of, I guess you could call it a next-gen console. I don't know. Nintendo's always kind of been in a weird place since the Wii came out.
It's the catch-up generation console, where they are catching up to the current generation.
It's like, the HD is a thing. I forgot we do have widescreen and high-definition televisions nowadays.
Yes. So, you've been watching some Wii U coverage today.
Yeah, I've spent most of the day. We're recording this in the afternoon, so it hasn't been that long, but I've been watching a lot of Wii U coverage because...
So, you've done the research. What do you think?
I am interested in the Wii U. I'm not going to get it right now. I don't know. I haven't sort of seen how much is getting bought up. I don't think it's sort of the Wii level of you can't get the Wii U right now. I've seen some people saying they managed to get it without waiting in any lines almost at all, and then others have been waiting in line since for midnight launches and stuff.
I should say too. I'm not getting it either. We both own Wiis and we've played them. But
as much as one can.
As much as one can. Where I think we're on the same page, though, in terms of just not going to get it. Maybe get it one day.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to end up getting it one day. But that's, I kind of would want to see what Microsoft and Sony are offering up for their next-gen consoles before I even consider jumping in on the Wii U.
Oh, my priority, and your priority, too, obviously, would be a new Xbox when that comes out. But definitely, and I'm also waiting with the Wii U. It's like, I all the Wii games I can still play on my Wii along with my GameCube games. So I'm waiting for the Wii U to have some really good Mario Zelda titles, and then maybe pick it up. But no essentials as of yet.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's no sort of killer app so far in the software lineup for Wii U. But yeah, I've been sort of, because I think I'm interested in video games, obviously, and I want to sort of keep up with what's going on. So I've been sort of watching the coverage and a lot of live streams and stuff like that. And I am interested in the Wii U. I think the idea behind the controller is really interesting. I don't know. It doesn't look like anything is coming out right now that is making really good use of it. They have the Nintendo Land minigame collection, which I just have to say this right now about Nintendo Land, which is sort of their version of Wii Sports, and I think you only get it packaged in if you buy the deluxe version of the Wii U, and by all accounts, you should just get the deluxe version of the Wii U because it's like $50 more, and it's got more memory and stuff like that, but Nintendo Land is $50, and it comes with the deluxe edition, so you're saving money. You should get Nintendo Land either way, from all accounts. But yeah, with Nintendo Land, the music playing over the main menu from the videos I've seen is fucking awesome. And it's not online yet, but I'm going to be just like refreshing YouTube until someone puts that up, and then just like having that in a loop constantly, because the main menu music on Nintendo Land is fucking amazing. But with Nintendo Land, some of the videos I saw, the more interesting use of the sort of the Wii U controller. And for those who don't know, the Wii U had the new controller for the Wii U is kind of like an iPad in a way. It's got a touchscreen in the middle, but it's also got sort of most of the buttons that you would have on an Xbox 360 or a PlayStation controller. It's got triggers and bumpers, and it's got 2 analog sticks, but it's got a big, fat old touchscreen in the middle. And so you can do a lot of interesting things with that. For example, in Nintendo Land, they have some competitive games, one of which is, I think it's called like Mario Chase or something like that, and the person who has the iPad-ish controller plays Mario, and then the other people play as Toad, and they look at the TV screen, and the person playing Mario just looks at their iPad screen, and so you have this sort of like hide-and-seek gameplay mechanic where the person playing Mario also has a map where he can see where all the other people are on the game, and the Toads have to sort of run around and tackle and capture Mario. So it's basically a video game version of hide and go seek, but it's sort of very interesting where you can segregate out players in a way that you wouldn't be able to with a more traditional game console, and that seems to be the most interesting application to sort of multiplayer space. But other than that, mostly the Wii U tablet controller, which is basically the reason to get the Wii U. So far, that's the sort of the big innovation. Is sort of their version of the Wiimote now. We're kind of saying, well, touchscreens are going to be the big thing, so we put a touchscreen in the controller.
And I will say this: I've always thought this controller seems like something that is much more versatile and usable than the Wii U, than the Wiimote, because the Wiimote ended up basically being, well, if you want to play a game that, like, if you're like an old school gamer and those are the kind of games you like, you probably should just use a GameCube controller for most of like the Super Smash Brothers Brawl. Use a fucking GameCube controller. Mario Kart, just use a GameCube controller. Don't bother with the fucking Wii bullshit. Yeah, and I definitely think the Wii U sort of tablet controller, developers could do a whole hell of a lot with that, and there's more room for innovation.
Yeah.
Also because it's fully developed at the start, because the Wiimote was kind of only halfway there. They had to do that attachment later on, the Wii Motion Plus, to really bring it to where they wanted it. It's a touchscreen, it's functional. Yeah. It's high def. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But for most of the bigger like AAA titles that are not just minigame collections, so far from what I've seen, the tablet's just been used for basically like inventory management and map screens, which is useful. I mean, honestly, that if there was like a big, really long, like a 50-hour AAA RPG on the Wii U, that's something I would be interested in. Just like
Skyrim on the Wii U.
Yeah, like Skyrim or something like that, because having that tablet for inventory management that does not pause your game seems that'd be really awesome. That'd just like cut out so much bullshit in RPGs. That'd be really, really nice. And then having that as a map screen that you don't have to pause the game and bring up the map screen seems like that'd be useful. But the other thing is that it's not that big of a deal. It's not. Right. I mean, a lot of the games that I've seen, there's the Zombie U, which is sort of what was the most interesting sort of new title for the Wii that wasn't for the Wii U. Yeah, that wasn't a Mario game or just a port from a game that's been out for like a year, like Arkham City. The Zombie U, and that's kind of the game that it's from Ubisoft, and they sort of touted it a lot. It's getting some pretty mixed reception, and it's kind of clear why, because the graphics are not particularly good, and it's not like the Wii U is not capable of good graphics. The Call of Duty Black Ops 2 port for the Wii U looks from everything I've seen, looks exactly like the 360 PS3 version, but whatever was Zombie U, it feels like it kind of got rushed as being a launch title, which happens with launch titles, and the graphics and the animation and sort of the content of the game seems really poor and sparse. But I mean, they do some interesting things with it. They use for like sort of like real time inventory management because it's a survival horror game. So with the you sort of like move down and like bring up your backpack on the tablet screen, and then you like sort of fuck around with that. But while that's going on, the game is not paused. Your character on the TV screen is looking through his backpack, so they sort of try to build tension that way, because if you want to mess around with your inventory stuff, your character gets paused, but the rest of the world really doesn't. And then they also use it for it's got a sort of interesting motion sensor thing when the backpack's not going on, but that's not really something that you could not have done without the tablet. That information could just be used on a TV screen. You can just have a motion sensor in the corner of the screen. You can just have... Resident Evil 5 had basically a live... when you brought up the inventory in Resident Evil 5, you had to manage that, and everything else was still going on. And that was kind of a bitch, but you can still do that kind of stuff without needing the tablet controller. So it seems like...
And I think, for instance, another solution that, for instance, Xbox has offered now is their smart glass thing they're doing with the new Xbox update, where if you have an iPhone or a real iPad, you interact with the game and the sort of the firmware and stuff on your tablet or your phone, and it's not to the same level, obviously, as the Wii U does, but it could one day do more, sort of in terms of menus and stuff like that.
And again, we haven't seen what Microsoft and Sony are bringing out for their next generation of consoles. So, but there's the Wii U. It seems like there's nothing really fully taking advantage of it yet. There's another Mario game, but it's a side-scrolling Mario game. It's like the new Super Mario Bros. U, which they need to fucking drop that U at some point, because there have been quite a few of those new Super Mario Bros. Games. This
is number 4.
Yeah, and you can't do Super Mario Bros. Number 4.
Now that is the best reviewed game on the Wii so far. I've read.
But it's a Mario game. I don't know. It's one of the. It's kind of I kind of feel the same about those sort of Mario games as I do about Call of Duty. I'm not that interested in Mario. I've never really been that interested in Mario games.
Because here's the thing, though.
But these, every time I just see these, it's like, this looks like the same fucking game, and even though it's HD, it doesn't look that good to me either.
Well, and I'll say this, but the new Super Mario Bros. Games, the side-scrolling sort of throwbacks, are different than what they're doing with the main Mario series. Like Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 3D
those, even though I'm not that interested in 3D platformers anymore, those looks like fun games that do interesting new things.
They're some of the best games I've ever played. They are very innovative. They're really big and offer new experiences. And from what I've heard, New Super Mario Bros. U is not, obviously it's a side-scrolling throwback, it's not going to be that innovative, but they say it's clearly the best in that sub-series. It's the most developed. It really transcends being just nostalgia there, or they are trying to add some new stuff to it, and that I guess it works really well. The thing I've heard, though, is that it doesn't make really any major use
it doesn't use the Wii U tablet almost at all, from what I've seen. Other than there's some multiplayer mode where you can create platforms using it. That seems kind of like, I think there's something kind of similar with the Mario Galaxy ones, where you could have someone who's maybe not that into gaming sort of do a co-op thing with you. That's not really like an intensive process that can kind of help you out. But that's, and it seems like, it's a new Nintendo console, so you want to have a Mario game out there, but it would have been a lot more interesting to see something like a Super Mario Bros. 64 before Wii U, have the next step that really takes advantage of what the new controller can do. And I think I'm just not interested in another... I don't know. I've played Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, and Super Mario World. And that's 2D platformers. That's it. There's not... I'm not interested in anything more past that, I guess. It seems like that was sort of the height of what they can do with 2D platformers. And I don't even think that I really don't like the sort of, it's 3D, but it's 2D gameplay. I've never liked that style, because it just makes it look too cluttered and less clear and less crisp. It's why don't they just have it be fucking 2D? Why does it have to have this bullshit 2.5D stuff? Yeah,
it's weird. And even though I like those games very much, they are a subset at best. And so I agree, they should have had a major Mario title. Even if it was Super Mario Galaxy 3, you could take that same concept. The jump
you mean Super Mario Galaxy U?
Oh, well, yeah, but Super Mario Galaxy 1 was a great game, and then 2 was an all-time great game. That jump was really great, and both made good use of the Wii technology. I think you could very much do, in that same kind of universe of platforming, that 3D universe, do something like that, but with the Wii U technology, especially because the Galaxy games are fucking gorgeous, even in standard definition on the Wii, and if they really took full advantage, that would sell Wii U's, because it would show off the technology in every way.
Yeah.
And they don't have anything that does that so far.
Yeah, they don't really have... There's no new Legend of Zelda, where that was for the Wii. Even though it was a GameCube game, the Twilight Princess, that was like the only game I really wanted ever to play on the Wii. But yeah, they don't really. It doesn't feel like they have any sort of critical killer app, but it kind of feels like they want New Super Mario Bros. U to be that, or Zombie U is sort of like what they were sort of positioning for the more hardcore gaming audience to bring those people in. Although they made one huge fucking critical mistake as far as that's concerned, because Zombie U is a shitty fucking title. It sounds so stupid, and the one thing I want Nintendo, of all the sort of stuff that Nintendo's been doing since the Wii's come out, and this has been going on for a long time with Nintendo, they have to stop the fucking naming gimmicks, because I'm done with it. The fucking, once you've gotten to ending games with the letter U, you're fucked. You're done. You know, having a lot of games that started with the Super Nintendo, that's fine. I can accept that. Ending game titles was 64 with the N64. Okay. The GameCube didn't really have that much, but then the Wii, ending everything with like fucking Wii or beginning it with Wii, no. One, it makes it sound stupid, and two, it's just fucking stupid. I don't want to buy fucking Super Mario Bros. Wii or New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And I come up with a different fucking title for your games. How many different fucking games just have Super Mario Bros. And then have a different prefix and a different suffix from their different like system titles? It's bullshit at this point.
It's absolutely bullshit, and I feel like they really missed an opportunity with the Wii, because if you will remember, the original title of that console was the Revolution before it came out. Yeah. You could have had games titled like Super Mario Brothers Revolution. Yeah. Done that with all of them. That could have been kind of fun.
Yeah, although it did
Mario Kart Revolution.
Although Revolution is sort of an outdated, overused subtitle, but
better than Wii.
Yeah, it's better than ending everything with Wii. And now we're ending things with U. Like, you can't even, you can't do Zombie U. That's stupid.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's just so fucking stupid. Like, I guess Zombie Wii or Wii Zombies is really stupid also, but Zombie U?
Are you surprised they didn't? Damn. Are you surprised they did not make Activision retitle Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Call of Duty Black Ops U?
I think Activision or Treyarch would have just been like, no, it's fun.
That's boycotting.
Yeah, no. It's like Activision's like, we're not making anything for the Wii U. It's like, fuck you guys, we're done with it.
It's so weird, and especially, we haven't even mentioned this. The name Wii U, I don't get it, and I don't get how they're going to sell consoles with that name, because it sounds like a peripheral.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it seems like a really shitty business decision, because a lot of the people who bought Wiis are not gamers, and they would be the kind of people who would be like, why do I need to buy a Wii U? I've got a Wii. They're not people who are sort of have enough knowledge about the gaming market to understand what a new console really means and what a new console really is. Yeah, so and I'd be like, I don't need another Nintendo.
Right, and the obvious answer here would have been, I think, from a marketing standpoint, maybe the best decision would have been just to get a new name altogether, like you went from Nintendo 64 to GameCube, something like that it's really fresh. But Wii is a big market at this point. I think more people probably know the term Wii than know Nintendo in some circles. And so I get why they wanted to keep the name Wii in there, but just adding one letter is stupid. Yeah. Especially because here's what I would have done, and honestly I was kind of expecting they would do this. Call it the Super Wii.
Although it's like, but then you're just sort of propagating the Wii jokes at that point.
But you know what? You're doing it too. I'm not saying it's good.
I'm just saying, I'm thinking about it, I would totally go to a Best Buy and say, can I get a Super Wii? I would do that. Just to be able to say that.
Right.
It's like, I'll buy a Super Wii.
But I think it would...
Give me my Super Wii.
There would obviously be lots of jokes, and they would be fun to make.
Jonathan, do you want to play with my Super Wii?
No, Sean, I don't want to play with your Super Wii.
Oh, that's too bad.
I'm just saying, I think it would still be better in every way than Wii U, whatever the fuck that means. It ties into Nintendo history. It's recognizable. People would recognize it as Nintendo, and it sounds like a new console.
And then you would get New Super Mario Brothers Wii 2. And, that'd be great.
Okay. Anything else to say about the Wii U, Sean?
I don't know. We've kind of been making fun of it for the past few minutes, but I think it's a very interesting idea. I just don't think there's anything really taking advantage of it. Because most of the launch lineup are ports from other games. I've kind of glossed over that, but it's like, you've got Black Ops 2 on there, you've got Assassin's Creed 3 on there, you've got Arkham City on there. So I guess if you don't have like a 360 or PS3, or if you haven't bought those games for those consoles, you can do that on the Wii U now, but it doesn't seem like any of those take almost any advantage of the functionality at all.
And
in an interesting way.
And I question how many people there are who would want to play those games who don't own anything but a Wii.
Yeah, no,
that seems weird. Anyway, here's my big question: have you seen anything about the internet service on the Wii U?
Actually, I have, and it's a lot more promising than I thought it was going to be. It seems like I don't know the specifics of it yet because I haven't seen anything that really goes into the specifics of it. Like I said, I don't have a Wii U yet, but it seems like they do have a sort of account system. Like you do make an account and you sort of tie it to one of your Miis, which is they need to just get rid of the Miis because the Miis look awful, especially in HD graphics. But they do have it's some sort of account system. I don't know how deep it goes. I don't know how your purchases are tied to that, or if they're tied to the console, or anything that extreme. But I did see them playing Black Ops 2 multiplayer online, and it seemed like it worked fine. It seemed like I don't know how I know they made Call of Duty ports onto the Wii, and I never played them, so I don't know how the multiplayer worked on those. But it seemed like if you bought Black Ops 2 on the Wii U, you'd get the multiplayer features that you would expect of a Call of Duty game, and it wouldn't be really cut down. It seemed like some of the sort of extra social features that Black Ops 2 has were not in there. Like there's some like the Call of Duty TV stuff, and the live streaming functionality wasn't in there, but that's like really superfluous. But like the basic multiplayer component seemed fine. So
that's good.
That's really that's the most promising thing about the Wii U, is that maybe Nintendo is finally understanding that we need to do internet stuff. Now the internet's a thing. We need to kind of get behind that. I mean, there's a day one patch for the Wii U that actually seems like it's a pretty big patch, which also seems like a thing you would not want to do for people who buy the Wii U and connect it to the internet. You have like a 2-hour, maybe long patch waiting for you before you can really play it. But it adds a whole bunch of online functionality, and a lot of the games have day one patches. So Nintendo, like New Super Mario Bros. The U has a fucking patch. A Mario game has a patch for it, and that's
thank God.
Fucking incredible at this point. I was not expecting that. So
we can say with certainty that Nintendo has at the very least gotten into 2006.
Yeah, no, they have. They definitely have looked at least at sort of like what the PlayStation Network and the Xbox Live have done, and are looking to sort of get in there. There's going to be Netflix functionality. They have a TVII. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. TV functionality thing that's not implemented yet. I think it's going to be implemented in December. That has some sort of TV stuff rolled in. So there seems like they're sort of seeing, we can have extra media functionality in our console. We can have some online functionality, and we don't have to be completely petrified of sort of online predators and make it so that you can't use online stuff almost at all, like they did on the Wii. So it seems like they're stepping into modern gaming in a big way, which is nice, because I used to really, really like Nintendo, and it seemed like they really fell behind in the gaming market ever since the Wii came out. And maybe...
Well, they fell behind as far as the N64 when they didn't use discs. I mean, it's...
Yeah, but that wasn't that big.
Not huge, but...
that big of a deal.
Yeah, but when something becomes a trend, I mean, it's like... It didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but then they went to GameCube and didn't have anything remotely...
Yeah, then they went to the GameCube and they used... whatever the fuck those GameCube discs are,
yeah.
For whatever reason they decided to do that, were completely killing any possibility that the GameCube could play DVDs, which was a big selling point of like the PS2.
Or having
it was just a DVD player.
Or even have widescreen support, if not full HD.
Yeah.
The other consoles had widescreen, having anything in terms of online potential. Mm-hmm. And then Wii was all the way into the modern generation, had no HD. A lot of games didn't have widescreen, had no internet, all this bullshit.
Yeah, or the games that did have widescreen just looked shit because they were not made to be played at that resolution. So, like Twilight Princess on the Wii looks fucking terrible. Those textures are awful. It's so hard to play that game. Like Ocarina of Time looks better than Twilight Princess on the Wii because they just fucked that up with the texture stretching.
Yeah. So anywho.
But yeah, it seems like, I'm right now I'm thinking I'm probably going to get a Wii U at some point in the future. I don't know how long that's going to be. Like I said, I'm definitely not considering buying it until I know what the rest of the console market is going to look like. But
yeah,
I'm far more interested in a Nintendo console right now than I've been for a very long time. So that's cool.
As far as new Nintendo consoles go, I'm still happy with my Nintendo 3DS, which is, I like their handheld gaming more anyway, and that console is not fully into the future either, but it's good enough for what I like playing on the 3DS.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the whole handheld market seems like it's all sort of up in the air right now because of mobile gaming. So
Yeah. Although, I mean, it's sort of, that's an interesting thing, and I guess this is a discussion for another day, but people who are actually into handheld gaming would say mobile gaming is a very different thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that, but I don't know how long it's going to be true for.
I know.
Because with like the capacity of newer iPhone and Android phones, that's probably not going to be a thing anymore.
And we'll see. So
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting. So that's that. That's the Wii U. The next big thing we want to talk about really quick is I want to give a quick roundup of movies that are playing in theaters this Thanksgiving, because this is our Thanksgiving week podcast. And there have been...
Oh, shit. Yeah, it is. Jesus.
It is.
Seems weird it's Thanksgiving already.
I know.
Almost Thanksgiving already.
But we can be thankful for a good number of decent movies playing in theaters, or above decent. There's a lot of good movies now. I have gone through a stretch of giving a lot of films A's and A minuses. And
Did you give Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2 an A or an A minus?
C minus
Oh.
by my system, but you know.
If you're into a C minus movie, you can see it Thanksgiving.
Yes, although you shouldn't, because there's a lot of much better stuff playing right now. So let me go into this really quick. We've already talked on this podcast about Skyfall, Cloud Atlas, and Wreck-It Ralph. They all came out a week or two ago, and those are all obviously still playing, and they're really good. Sean, I know you're going to see Skyfall over Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Great movie. That one is sort of a lock for my top 10 list this year. So is Cloud Atlas. Just two of the best films I've seen this year, bar none. Skyfall is definitely the best blockbuster of this year so far, I think. I like it more than the other blockbusters of 2012, like The Avengers, Spider-Man, Dark Knight. It's very, very good. And then, let's see, what are some of the other national releases right now? Flight, which is the new film by Robert Zemeckis. I think I've mentioned that before. It stars Denzel Washington. He's an alcoholic airline pilot involved in a crash and then an investigation into sort of his drinking, and he's got to sort of do some introspection, try to figure out, he's an alcoholic in denial, obviously, as many alcoholics want to be, and it's a very, very good character study. Denzel Washington is fantastic, one of the best performances of this year. Great movie, highly recommend it. And Robert Zemeckis, thank you for coming back to live action. It's been too long. You and your creepy motion capture animation.
Yeah, yes.
One day we'll talk about Beowulf. What a creepy fucking movie that is. All right, anyway, Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis by Steven Spielberg. Great movie. It's out now. I think it's better, even though the idea of Steven Spielberg doing Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis, that sounds phenomenal on paper. I think I and many other people had trepidations because, for one, it sounds too good to be true, and how could that live up to its own potential? And also, Abraham Lincoln, tough guy to do right on film because he's a very legendary figure,
Yeah.
How do you really humanize him that way? And Lincoln is a great movie, and I don't think I've talked about it on this podcast before. I really love it. Daniel Day-Lewis, probably the best lead performance of this year. Just phenomenal, at least on the male side of things. And it's just, that movie is so good. It focuses on basically 1 month of Abraham Lincoln's life, near the end of his life, January 1865, when he's trying to pass the 13th Amendment through Congress and free the slaves and end the Civil War. It's phenomenal. Just studying that one little portion of his life is a brilliant move. And all the acting is great. It's a good character study on who Lincoln is as a man, and it humanizes him really well. But it's also a good portrait of the nation at a time when we were obviously very divided, as we are now. So I think it's a very relevant movie, too. And it definitely makes you think it's more than just sort of a historical drama. It works as entertainment, as sort of education, as thought-provoking, an ethical drama. It's very good. And I highly recommend it. I know that's another one you're interested in.
Yeah, no, that's another movie I'm really excited to see. I also really like the historical period, so looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Silver Linings Playbook is opening wide on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. That is David O. Russell's new film with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence. Bradley Cooper plays a severely bipolar man who's just been released from a mental institution. He beat his wife's lover within an inch of his life because he has anger issues, and so he's dealing with...
I thought he did that because he was just such a calm and peaceful man.
Yes. And so he's dealing with that. He's been released to the care of his parents after 8 months in a mental hospital. And his parents are played by Jackie Weaver and Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro has not been this good in a movie since Heat, probably. You have to go back really long. One, to find a movie that was good that had him in it. And B, that he was really good in. He's been kind of lost for a while.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of... It's kind of like an Arnold Schwarzenegger thing where he was in a lot of really not that good comedies that we don't know why he was in those.
Yeah. So anyway, Robert De Niro, phenomenal in this movie. Bradley Cooper, phenomenal in this movie. But the real standout of Silver Linings Playbook is Jennifer Lawrence, who plays the other main character. She's another person with some severe emotional issues who Bradley Cooper meets, and they kind of befriend each other and help each other heal. It's a very simple story when you kind of get down to it. It's just sort of them dealing with their own issues, but she convinces him to help her with this dance competition she's always wanted to do. Her husband recently died.
Save the recreation room. It's sort of the old spring break, college try. You have to save the... No?
What are you talking about?
It's just, I don't know. The plot seems kind of stereotypical of those kinds of movies back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, but with the side that they're both...
Yeah, but without them being sort of without that, you kind of have that thrown into the mix now.
Yeah, but it's got, I think it climaxes in a really great way. It's got, at the end, a moment sort of when the dance competition they do together happens. It definitely feels kind of like a classic movie moment. I saw this at the Denver Film Festival closing night, and it was fun to see it with an audience that really loved movies because people were eating out of its hands. It really plays a crowd well. It's a great crowd pleaser, but also one with very authentic emotions and makes you think, but also makes you laugh. It kind of runs the gauntlet of what emotions a movie can create. Really, really good. I love it. It's probably also going to be a top 10 list contender this year, so definitely good. I know Jennifer Lawrence is easily right now the favorite to win Best Actress this year at the Oscars if you're interested in that sort of thing. So you want to see it. It's good. Other movies playing on Thanksgiving Day are Life of Pi. This is Ang Lee's adaptation of a book that a lot of people have read, and I knew absolutely nothing about stepping into the movie.
I've seen the cover, and it had a tiger on it.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
It has a tiger in it. It's good. I can't muster much enthusiasm for it. I think this movie hyped itself up so much, and people have hyped it up so much because the book is very popular. People like Ang Lee, for good reason. He's a good director. And I think it's much more self-important than it needs to be because it really is just a simple fable about the nature of faith. And I think it delivers that message very well. I also think it could stand to be less pretentious because the message it's delivering is not, for one, it's not very big and it's not revolutionary. It's just well done. And so I think this is a very good movie. I would recommend, not over all the other stuff we've mentioned, but worth seeing. Very good visuals, well-directed, well-acted, and it's got some interesting points, and I think audiences are very much going to like it, and I know I've already seen other critics like it a lot. I think I gave it a B+. I don't think it deserves all the awards recognition people are talking about with it. It's not great. It's certainly not great, but it's very good. So give it a look if you have run out of things to watch.
Or if you want to see a movie with Tiger in it.
Yeah, Tiger's good. I learned later on that the tiger is mostly CGI. I thought it was CGI in only a couple shots because it looks really, really real. And I don't know if I've ever seen an animal in a film animated that realistically. That is well done. The special effects in this film, phenomenal. So I have to recommend it for that, I guess. But good movie. And then the final one, I just saw this the other morning, is Rise of the Guardians. This is DreamWorks' new movie. It's an animated film in which Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy...
Yeah, that movie. I was trying to remember what Rise of the Guardians was.
Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, the Sandman, and Jack Frost all team up to fight the Boogeyman. I say that and it sounds stupid. It's a really good movie.
No, cool.
I think it's better than Life of Pi, for one. It's very good. It's very heartfelt. I've probably talked on this podcast before that I don't like DreamWorks animation. I think they're pandering. I think they're over-commercial. I don't kind of like the way they talk down to children in their movies. I haven't liked most of their output. The only movie of theirs I really love is Kung Fu Panda, and maybe the first Shrek to a certain degree. But for the most part, I can kind of leave most of what they've made. Rise of the Guardians is much more like a Pixar film in that it's very heartfelt. It's very much about an emotional center, and it's about the message and really sort of intelligent discussions of sort of how mythology plays into our lives and sort of the wonder of childhood and how that all plays into these things. And it's well done in that regard. And I think it's got really great characters. And as silly as it sounds to take Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and all this stuff and put them together, they do a good job of it because they have actual interesting interpretations of each character. And I don't know why this has never been done before in particular, is Santa is Russian. He's a Russian Santa. And that's good.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, it's Alec Baldwin voicing him with a Russian accent. But Alec Baldwin is really good in this movie. I didn't know he could do voices that well. You will not tell it's Alec Baldwin unless you look at the end or you know at the beginning. But that's good. They actually kind of make the Tooth Fairy into an interesting concept, which always has seemed like the lamest of the fictional mythological creatures.
It doesn't really fit in with because there's no Tooth Holiday. I
No,
guess.
there's no. But the Sandman, same way.
Yeah,
they do the Sandman really interestingly, and they do the Easter Bunny is fun because he's sort of a badass Easter Bunny, and he's voiced by Hugh Jackman using his Australian accent. Kudos, anyone who lets Hugh Jackman use his Australian accent. I love that, because he's got a cool accent.
Yeah. And maybe in the next X-Men or Wolverine movie, Wolverine will just be Australian instead of Canadian now.
They could do it. It'd be fun. In any case, Rise of the Guardians is good. I can't necessarily say, if you're an adult, this is the one you should go see beyond all the other movies, because there's a lot of good adult entertainment playing this year.
Oh, really?
But not that kind of adult entertainment, Sean. Okay. Entertainment aimed towards adults.
That's too bad.
And Rise of the Guardians is very much a kid's film. It's just a really, really, really well done kid's film. If you have kids, if you have nieces and nephews, you want to take them to the movies, this is a good choice. I would still recommend Wreck-It Ralph above that, but if you have kids, you've probably taken them to Wreck-It Ralph, and if you need another movie, Rise of the Guardians is good. As always, I want to mention, Rise of the Guardians, Life of Pi, and Wreck-It Ralph are all in 3D. Don't see them in 3D. None of them are worth it. Life of Pi has some interesting 3D dynamics because Ang Lee is a good director, good visual craftsman. I still don't like it. It dims the image so much. And Rise of the Guardians, I have to say, I was seeing that at a Regal theater. And Regal is infamous because their company policy is they do not change bulbs in their projectors until every 6 months out. And they are recommended to be changed every 3 months. And that is company policy. Their employees are not allowed to touch them until a 6-month interval. And that means for 3 months out of the year, any given Regal projector may look like shit. It'll be so dim. And then if you add 3D glasses on top of that, it's awful. And this projector I was seeing it on had to be on its last legs. That bulb was almost out. It was so dim, even without the 3D. Then I put the glasses on. I could barely see the movie. I want to say the animation in this movie is good. I don't know. I could barely see it, honestly, unless it was a bright daytime scene, and even then it looked like there was a rainstorm happening in every scene. And I think I could recommend these films for 3D more if theaters were good about their bulbs and made sure the image was bright enough. But most theaters aren't, and that's not good enough for 2D movies. It's certainly not good enough for 3D. You are paying for an inferior product. Don't see them in 3D. They're all just fine in 2D. Maybe Life of Pi is worth the 3D upgrade, but even then, it's really distracting to me. I don't think it's particularly fantastically done 3D. So, there you go.
There's no scene where the tiger jumps at the camera in 3D?
Yes, there is.
Oh, okay, that's good. Then you have to see it in 3D then.
Yes. He jumps and then he takes his paw out and goes rah at the screen. And yeah.
Okay, so Life of Pi, you have to see it in 3D.
So, only 3D movie I'm interested in this year is The Hobbit, because it sounds like they're actually doing interesting 3D stuff and innovating with that. So, we shall see.
There's a scene in The Hobbit where Gollum jumps at the camera and goes, rawr.
Yes. Alright, so that's that. Speaking of The Hobbit, I wanted to mention really quick, the Hobbit soundtrack by Howard Shore is streaming online at Empire Magazine, and it is awesome. It's streaming in its entirety, the regular edition. There's a special edition I have on pre-order that has more stuff, but this is just the regular edition. It's about an hour and 45 minutes of music, and Sean, would you agree that Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings score is pretty much the best movie score ever?
Yeah, I mean, certainly for that genre of fantasy music,
There's nothing remotely on that level. And The Hobbit is just as good. It's maybe not as sort of detailed and emotional in some ways because it's a simpler story, for one, and it's not as multifaceted because in Lord of the Rings he's portraying so many different races and classes.
Yeah, you have to have different sort of musical styles and themes for the Rohan, Gondor, and the Shire.
The Hobbit score is much more unified. It's sort of like first half of Fellowship. Mm-hmm. And I like that. It's really interesting how he does that and how he ties in sort of dwarven themes. It makes it a little more earthy because of the dwarves. But it's very, very good. I highly recommend giving it a listen. It's so great. It'll get you very excited for this movie, and I didn't think I could be more excited. The soundtrack is fantastic. I don't know what else to say about it than that. We will talk about it more in depth in the weeks to come because we will have some Lord of the Rings podcasts. But I just wanted to mention that. And the last thing I wanted to mention is we forgot to talk about this on the podcast last week, but there was a big piece of news or sort of an event that happened online that Sean and I were excited for, and that's that the trailer for Angry Video Game Nerd the movie was posted by James Rolfe, the filmmaker.
Yeah, we mentioned James Rolfe before with his Monster Madness series that he does every Halloween, October month. But
how we and everyone else were introduced to James Rolfe is his Angry Video Game Nerd series, which I know is one of our favorite internet series of all time.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of like staple internet web series where he has a sort of angry video game nerd persona, and he very angrily reviews old sort of like Nintendo or Genesis games. They're very funny videos.
They're very funny, and the thing that sets them apart from other reviews to me is that they're very informative.
Especially about like that sort of era of video game history. He covers a lot of like, he'll have episodes that just like sort of give you a historical perspective on this console. And it's very interesting if you're interested in video games in that way. Yeah,
and I think that's why it's my favorite of the sort of angry review-based shows online. Mm-hmm. It's also kind of the grandfather of all of them.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic. We've always loved it, and he's been making the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. And I think it's okay to say we were both excited for that.
Yeah.
But when the trailer came out, that went to another level because I didn't quite grasp that he was making a movie.
It looks like that's like a theatrical trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Which is really... It's sort of like... Yeah, it made me realize, oh, holy shit, he's actually making it. This isn't just like, Angry Video Game Nerd the movie where he shoots it in the backyard with the camera because he doesn't have, obviously the budget or the resources to make a proper movie. Apparently he does have the budget and resources to make a proper sort of like B-movie. And so that's really cool.
I mean, I'll say this. One of the things that impresses me about that trailer is the cinematography is good. I'm not going to say it's like a masterpiece of art. Most movies aren't, but you could put that against most movies I've seen this year. It looks great.
Yeah.
There's actually a shot in there that really interested me where he's explaining to his sort of sidekick in the movie that he's going to go find the E.T. cartridges in the desert, and he's at the kid's house at night, and there's a pool behind them, and the light is refracting off his white shirt.
Yeah.
And there's this like interesting lighting in these things. Mm-hmm. Like, it looks very, very professional.
Yeah.
And the story sounds fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, everything about this movie seems like it's going to... It's a very interesting step for sort of, I don't know, like almost a step of legitimacy for online web series because, as you said, the Angry Video Game Nerd is sort of a grandfather of that genre of online videos that became very popular. And so he's sort of like another Rooster Teeth out there making really high-quality content for the web, and he's now making a theatrical movie.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
It's very cool.
We're getting these really interesting, like Forward Unto Dawn sort of did something brand new with the online space, and it seems like this is another sort of step of merging the online and the sort of more traditional media forms. And so, a web series does not necessarily have to be shit, and a movie based on a web series hopefully does not necessarily have to be shit. So,
right, and it's cool because it's not just sort of the conceit of the show that he does. It's him and a bunch of other new characters in
he's got a bunch of actors. It's like a proper story. It's not just going to be a like really, really long video game review.
Yeah.
Very, very excited for that.
Yeah, can't wait. Probably a while until it's done, but he can take all the time he needs.
As far as I'm aware, he's editing it almost entirely on his own. So.
Yeah, and doing visual effects and all this other stuff. Yeah. There looks like there's some big effects in the movie, too.
Yeah.
And a real villain. I'm excited. That looked fun.
Yeah.
So, looks really good. But I think that's all our news and random stuff for the episode. So, let us transition into our conversation on Call of Duty.
Yes, the proper topic of the day.
Yes. So, Sean, get us started here. Why are we talking about Call of Duty?
Well, as we said, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 came out Tuesday. So
this is the 98th game in the franchise?
That's actually... We should have looked this up before we started this, but am kind of curious what number exactly Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is. Because... there have been a shit ton of Call of Duty games.
All right, we just looked it up. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is the 13th game in the Call of Duty series.
Yeah, even that number is kind of hard to come at because there's a lot of sort of expansion packs and side titles and DS releases and Wii releases and whatnot.
And we just did major console releases.
Yeah.
So, because you got Call of Duty and then it had two spin-offs. Call of Duty 2 had a spin-off, Big Red 1. And then mainly it's the main titles, but you have 3, 4, 4-2, 4-3, Black Ops 2, World at War...
Yeah,
so it goes on and on.
There's a lot of different Call of Duty games, and particularly picked up after Call of Duty 4 came out.
And Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which is the 13th game, is going to be the highest-selling video game of all time.
It might already be.
It made $500 million day one. Most movies don't make that over their whole lifetime. Books don't approach that. Video games never approach that as a rule.
Other than like a Grand Theft Auto game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but even then, they have to do a couple of years to
no, Grand Theft Auto games, it's been a while since Grand Theft Auto 4 came out.
Yeah. So, $500 million in one day. Sean, you and I have talked many times on this podcast that we think if they're doing annual cycles and they're not changing the games much, they're going to burn out at one point. But nobody was very enthusiastic about Modern Warfare 3, and yet Black Ops 2 shattered those records.
Yeah.
This is unlike anything we've ever seen in the world of entertainment in terms of finances and gross and this trend, because it's an exponential upwards trend, and
it's been going on far longer than you'd expect. I think Call of Duty 4 came out 2007.
Yeah. So everything...
And it's been a yearly release since then.
Yeah, and everything we could say about these kind of trends, like historically, like what other things we could compare it to, like Guitar Hero, doesn't count anymore, because they've done so many more games, and they've been going for so much longer, and they've been
making so much more money.
Yeah, so what do you say? People fucking love... Love isn't even strong enough a word. People are addicted like methamphetamine to Call of Duty.
Yeah. It is, and that's one of the things that's so interesting about Call of Duty now, is that it is the only thing I can think of that can do this, that can have these yearly releases that do, they do change stuff. It seems like Black Ops 2 in particular did some very interesting things, but they don't change that much. They have yearly releases, They
haven't had a new engine since Modern Warfare.
Yeah, no, so it's like game in, game out, but they make more and more and more money each time, and you would definitely expect that there'd be a lot larger franchise fatigue because like that I have, and I believe you have as well. That's kind of why I'm not buying new Call of Duty games right now, because I'm so fatigued and tired of that franchise, because there's just so many games, but it is not taking hold on a particularly big scale, and that's very interesting.
And I think when we talk bad about Call of Duty on this podcast, that's really what we're referring to, is that, not that we begrudge it its success, good for them, whatever.
Yeah, they're still good games.
Yeah, but it's just for us...
There's a certain level of where you're putting out what is effectively the same game every year where I get sick of it. Like, I got sick of it when Assassin's Creed 2 did that for 3 years. It's been going on a lot longer for Call of Duty.
And we've talked a lot about how much we love Halo, and I think we're on the same page on Halo, as we would much rather wait 3 years between Halo games and get something very fresh and new.
Yeah, like I don't want Halo 5 next year.
No.
And Halo 6 the year after that. I wouldn't want that.
And because we would much rather play the game we have and not have to spend money buying it again, and wait until they have something new to give us.
Yeah, I would want them to sort of like build up a new graphics engine, like do something interesting new with game mechanics, like throw some new stuff into the game, and wait like 2 to 3 years.
Right. And for me, I'll say this is one of the only franchises that this bothers me on, but the graphics on Call of Duty, that may be one of the main ways I'm burned out, is that all
the games look the exact same, even if some of the gameplay stuff does change.
Right, and at this point, not only do they look the same, the art direction is the same, the production design is the same. There's nothing, there's different teams working on these games, but the color palette, the textures, it's all identical, and at this point, to me, it looks bad, and it's pretty rare.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you that it does not look particularly good.
No, when I bought Modern Warfare 3 last year, I just kind of bought it on a whim because there was no other major shooter out that Christmas, it seemed like. Mm-hmm. So I kind of wanted a new multiplayer suite to play.
Yeah.
And I just got bored with it so fast because I put it in and I'm like, yuck, this looks old. Like, this looks like something from the...
So it looks so brown.
I know.
Everything is so brown in Call of Duty games. And there's only so much brown in a video game you can take before it's like, I'm done. I need to play something with other colors.
And I don't think of myself as a graphics snob, but there's a certain point when a game looks like it was made at the beginning of a generation that we're 8 years into or 7 years into.
Yeah, we're running on a 5 or 6 year old engine at this point.
And it shows its age very clearly, I think. Especially because I do feel like they want to do more new things with it that this engine will not allow.
Yeah, no, definitely it seems like they're kind of hampered in that respect. And also Call of Duty is sort of in the unfortunate position that, at least as far as graphics go, that their genre of the modern military shooter does not allow a whole lot of interesting art design or aesthetic in that sense. So they sort of have to rely heavily on really good texture quality to make their graphics, and they don't have that anymore, where they did when Call of Duty 4 originally came out, because it was really impressive when it first came out, but it's been a while since that happened.
Yeah, it has. And so I think those are our major complaints with Call of Duty at this point, and that while Call of Duty's main sort of strength was never its stories, there were interesting sort of narrative elements in Call of Duty 2 and 4 that sort of how they did military combat shooters and how they tied those narratives together, I think was compelling on a certain level. And I think, especially in the Modern Warfare games, that burned out really quick.
Oh, God, yeah.
Treyarch has done some more interesting stuff with theirs. Black Ops, I mean, you can tell Treyarch really tries. Black Ops 1, and from what I've seen, 2, they are trying very hard to do something interesting with their narratives.
Especially, too, from everything I've seen.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of want to play 2 now. And that's the first time I felt about that for Call of Duty games, is Modern Warfare 2.
Right. But that was definitely a problem for us in these waning years was... You know, is there really any compelling reason to play the campaign? Because if it's just shooting people, I can do that in multiplayer, and I have multiplayer on this game that was out 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it's basically the same multiplayer suite. In fact, I prefer the Call of Duty 4 multiplayer over any of the other ones I've played since then.
Because they've gotten very complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
But do you kind of want to just run through some of the games and
I think
give
we
our
should.
Impressions in that way?
Yeah.
So
where did you start with the series, Sean?
The first Call of Duty game I played, like, in my timeline, not necessarily in the game's timeline, is Call of Duty 2, and I played the Xbox 360 version because that was, if not a launch title, one of the very, very early titles for the Xbox 360.
It's identical for me. I bought it. I did not get an Xbox 360 at launch, but I got it, like, a year after, and Call of Duty 2 was one of the first games I bought.
Yeah, and I really love Call of Duty 2.
Great game.
Yeah, I think it's got maybe my favorite campaign. I'm not sure if it's my favorite game in the Call of Duty franchise, because I really, really like Call of Duty 4 also, but there's something about because Call of Duty 2 is World War II. It came out kind of in the waning years of that really big glut that we're kind of now replicating with the newer Call of Duty games of there were a shit ton of World War II shooters back in the day.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have World War II shooters anymore, but with sort of the weapons in the World War II era where, you know, you had automatic weapons in this form of like submachine guns, like the Thompson submachine gun or something like that. They were all very, very close range or planted machine guns. And if you wanted to sort of do longer range combat, you had like bolt action rifles or some semi-automatic carbines. But, you know, that created a much sort of like slower and more methodical pace. You know, at a distance, every single shot was really, really important because, you know, you had a bolt action rifle, and if you missed, it would take like a second for you to cycle the bolt and get another round so you could shoot again. And I think also sort of that historical period, to me personally, is a lot more interesting.
I agree.
It's more fun to sort of be thrown into that sort of time and see what it was like.
Yeah, Call of Duty 2 was a revelation for me, and I think it was for those reasons. And for one, I am much fonder of the World War II era of shooters than I am of this modern era, because I found it more interesting. I liked playing some of those other games from that time.
Yeah.
When my cousin would come over, bring his Xbox, and he would have Medal of Honor and some of those others. And they were very fun to play. And I think with Call of Duty 2, though, it did something that the series has in many ways moved away from, which is that it really tried to replicate reality. Yeah. It was trying to say, what was it like for soldiers in World War II on the front lines in these really graphic theaters of war? What was it like? And when you're playing it, I mean, Call of Duty 2, even when I go back and play it now, it is one of the most intense video games I've ever played.
Yeah.
It really made you feel like you were on the battlefield. And it was kind of a turning point in how I thought about war, because it was one of the first things that sort of showed me, well, what is war like?
And shit blows up.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
And that's the thing, is that Call of Duty 2 may have not had a really in-depth story. It's just kind of following history.
Yeah,
but
you play in some historical campaigns.
But I do think it was kind of thought-provoking in those ways. Because you're playing through war and you're getting sort of a fun out of it, but it's not fun in the way I think the modern Call of Duties are meant to be. It's not.
Yeah, where the modern Call of Duty games are like a Michael Bay movie.
Right. I think there
Whereas
was some...
Call of Duty 2 was like Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, this is entertaining, but it's sort of more thought-provoking, and it makes you sort of realize the reality of what it was like.
And I think, and it's interesting to talk about Call of Duty in that way, but that's still how, when I hear the words Call of Duty, that's what I associate with this series, because 2 had such a strong impact on me, and I played it so much back in the day, that's what Call of Duty was, and maybe still is to me, is that those really kind of smart World War II shooters that were very strategic in how you played them, they made you think, they were very sort of slow and methodical. Yeah, they're very intense, but the gunfire was slow and methodical. They're nothing like that now.
Yeah, the campaign, and just like the level design of the campaign wasn't particularly scripted, where nowadays, that's one of the things that make them feel like Michael Bay movies, is that there are a lot of these like scripted events where, you were walking down a corridor, you shoot like two dudes down this corridor, you take like two steps, and then it's sort of like control's taken away from you, something really big explodes off in the distance, and then you like run away. Whereas in the Call of Duty 2 campaign level design, it was much more open, you had very big firefights, and there were like multiple routes that you could take to flank, there were multiple ways of sort of accomplishing your objective, how to get to your objective. And that sort of level design is much more appealing to me because it feels like I'm kind of like... It really helps replaying, where I still like to play the Call of Duty 2 campaign. And it just like gives you more freedom and utility as the player to sort of accomplish your objective and makes it a lot more interesting. Whereas with the Call of Duty one, it looks really nice, but that works for like 1-2 games tops, and that's where a lot of the franchise fatigue sets in for me, is that, I'm not doing anything interesting as the player in the games anymore, because the games are just like having really crazy blowing up shit going on around me that I'm not really a part of anymore.
Yeah, when we get to Modern Warfare 3, I will definitely talk about that more.
Yeah, because Modern Warfare 3 is one of the ones that's basically when I stopped playing.
Yeah. Call of Duty 2 also has some really good multiplayer for the time. Definitely showed you what Xbox Live could do in its X360 form.
Yeah, I didn't play much Xbox Live multiplayer in Call of Duty 2, I have to be honest. Because that was when I was still playing Halo 2 Xbox Live multiplayer, but...
Yeah. No, I did not play a ton either, but what I did play was really fun. I liked their capture the flag modes too, and the maps in that game were still my favorite Call of Duty maps.
Yeah, I did play a lot of sort of like local split screen multiplayer in Call of Duty 2, and a lot of the maps were a lot of fun.
Yeah, like the maps in Call of Duty today are boring as shit, and I think they were even as soon as Call of Duty 4, as much as I liked that multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Those were a little more varied because you were playing again, they were kind of trying to replicate reality, and there was something haunting about being in like a destroyed town fighting another team.
Yeah.
So, Call of Duty 2, thumbs up.
Yeah, no, I really like Call of Duty 2, and you can get it for real cheap. So if you haven't played Call of Duty 2, I totally recommend that game. It's a really fun campaign.
I think you can get it on Games on Demand. So
yeah, you probably can. That's probably true.
So if you're sitting on your couch listening to our podcast, you don't even have to get up by Call of Duty 2. Start playing it while you're listening.
Yeah.
It's great.
Call of Duty 2 is awesome.
Yes. And actually, we said the like modern run of like yearly releases started with 4. It didn't. It was 2, then did 3 a year later, and then 4
was 3 really a year after Call of Duty 2?
I will fact check that right now. I believe that is true because
I rented Call of Duty 3.
Yeah, because I know people were already people didn't really want Call of Duty 3, if I remember, because it was so similar to 2 and it was made by a different company. It was the first Treyarch one. They didn't quite know what they were doing yet. Where there's been this weird switch now where, what am I looking at? Where Infinity Ward sort of makes the lesser games now, and people are more excited for what Treyarch does. But anyway, okay. So on the Xbox 360, Call of Duty 2 launched in 2005, and we're about
that would be the launch year. So I think it basically was the launch title.
And 3 was 2006.
Oh, so geez, yeah, 3 was right, and I guess that makes sense because Call of Duty 4 was 2007, I believe.
Yep, 2007,
same year of Halo 3. So,
So
I did not remember that Call of Duty 3 came out a year after Call of Duty 2.
Well,
that makes Call of Duty 3 in my memory make a lot more fucking sense now, because Call of Duty 3 sucks.
Yeah. Well, what it was is that, Infinity Ward, who made 1 and 2, they decided they'd already done sort of the ultimate World War II shooter in Call of Duty 2, so with 4, Modern Warfare, they're like, well, we're going to do something new. Which was a really good idea at the time. Cool concept. Mm-hmm. To break away from how your franchise had been established. But in the meantime, these were being distributed by Activision, who didn't want sort of to lose momentum from 2, which was a really big seller, a launch title. So they hired Treyarch.
Treyarch is another developer that's sort of owned by Activision, who's the publisher, who also owns the Call of Duty franchise. So they brought in Treyarch, and Treyarch started making, I guess, like the off-year Call of Duty games at that time.
And again, at this point, I think people are more excited for the Treyarch games.
It's kind of weirdly flipped. All of a sudden ever since Modern Warfare 3. But yeah, at the time, it was like the Infinity Ward games. Those are the ones you were really excited for. And then the Treyarch ones were, with Call of Duty 3, complete shit.
Yeah. So Call of Duty 3 is really just another World War II shooter, but without the fun.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, I rented Call of Duty 3. As far as I can recall, I never completed the campaign. I can't remember anything in the campaign being particularly memorable. I remember they did cutscenes, whereas Call of Duty 2 never did that. They had some vehicles, which were awful. The vehicles in Call of Duty 3, controlled like shit, weren't fun. But then, particularly what I remember about Call of Duty 3 was when I tried to play the multiplayer, and there was one thing in particular about the multiplayer that just, completely killed it for me. This was before, Call of Duty 4 really revolutionized things, where you had sort of, the loadouts and the progression-based multiplayer system. and so Call of Duty 3 obviously was before that, and they still had a class-based system like how Call of Duty 2 multiplayer worked, but you played as, like, you know, you were either on the Axis team or the Allies team, and based on which team, you know, obviously if you're the Axis and you're the Germans, you're not spawning with American weapons. But for the two classes in particular, the Rifleman class, if you're playing the Allies and you were an American, you got the M1 Garand, which was a semi-automatic rifle with 8 rounds in a magazine, and so that's what that was. It was a semi-automatic. But if you were on the Axis and the Germans, you had, I think it's like the Kar 98K or whatever the bolt-action rifle was for the Germans. So all of a sudden, the Germans have a bolt-action rifle and the Americans have a semi-automatic rifle, and I think you can see how that pans out in that you can fire a lot faster if you spawn on the American side because you have an M1 Garand. And the Rifleman is the basic class that you play as, so it completely fucking unbalanced the multiplayer right away, where the Germans had a slight advantage on much larger maps, and the Americans had a big advantage on, like, medium to smaller size maps, and it fucked up multiplayer completely because it was completely dependent on which team you were randomly selected to be on as to whether or not you were going to perform well in the match.
Well, that's what you get for being a dirty German.
I guess, yeah, or that's what you get for not intelligently designing your multiplayer suite and being like, you know, maybe we can fudge things up a bit and, you know, get some equivalent weapons, even if it would be much more likely for the American team to have an M1 Garand and the German team to have a Kar 98K. We can sort of mix that up. We can come up with a solution. You don't necessarily have to go with that, because it's fucking multiplayer. Nobody gives that much of a shit past, like, the first match, the trappings and the historical accuracy around the multiplayer. Just make it balanced. At the very least, don't make it unbalanced based on which team you're randomly selected to be on.
Now, I feel like
in Call of Duty 3, god damn it. That was one of the most, like, that was, like, really eye-opening as one of the most baffling and stupid game design decisions I had encountered up to that point. Because this was before I was really, really into video games and really into, like, sort of the history and playing a lot of older video games at that point. And this was, like, one of those where it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, what did they do? It's one of the first really bad video games I can remember playing, that recognizing it being really bad.
Yeah. And what's so weird about 3 is that if it weren't for 4, and if 4 had been even... I want to say if 4 had even been just good and not the great...
And it hadn't been just also just a World War II shooter.
Right.
Again.
I think Call of Duty would be done so fast.
Yeah, I agree.
If 4 had been, like I said, even of slightly lesser quality, 3 soured people so fast, and that's when people were soured on that business strategy universally. Was like, well, why do we need these off-numbered games if they're just going to be like 3 and, you know, and, you know, that's what everyone said because that kind of made sense at the time.
Yeah.
And then 4 came out. And 4 was so good, people wanted nothing but Call of Duty all the time.
Yeah.
And understandably, because 4 is a great game.
Yeah, Call of Duty 4 is an absolutely phenomenal video game. I mean, it completely revolutionized how multiplayer works, and it's really understandable why.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, like, it came out 2007, which would be the same year as Halo 3, so that was a fucking good year for multiplayer shooters in
Absolutely.
the video game space. But yeah, Call of Duty 4, it was Infinity Ward again, and they decided, you know, we're doing modern warfare. We're bringing it into a modern setting. It's a fictionalized version of modern setting. You know, you're not playing like the actual, like, Iraq War. You're not playing in, like, actual Afghanistan involved in that specific war, but it's sort of this modern setting with a fictionalized, you know, background of, like, why you're in these places. I don't even know if they ever really say, like, what countries you're in other than Russia, because, of course, you're fighting Russian supernationalists. Because
I don't like that, but whatever.
And you've been fighting them ever since.
Yeah.
For some reason, we moved from Nazis in World War II games to, yeah, that's the enemy, that's the villain of the World War II game is the Nazi, that totally makes sense. And then you move into the modern military shooter, where other than, as far as I'm aware, the only game that's actually been, like, the only, like, big blockbuster of the game that's been set in an actual, like, real war setting in the modern time is the Medal of Honor game that came out, like, 2 years ago that got fairly critically panned. But other than that, they're all sort of like fictionalized, and you tend to have some Middle Eastern stuff going on. But the actual enemy is never like some sort of like Middle Eastern terrorist group. It's always Russian supernationalists. I don't even know if supernationalism is even a thing. I don't know why they can't just be Russian nationalists. But that's always what it is. I don't fucking know why that is. But you're always fighting the fucking Russians, really. You know, you might be fighting some sort of Middle Eastern terrorist people, kind of. But the real masterminds are the Russian supernationalists over in Russia doing Russian stuff. Because, you know, the Cold War never ended, I guess.
Yeah. A little 20 years too late on that. But Modern Warfare, you want to start with campaign on this one?
Yeah, sure, because the campaign in Modern Warfare was really, really, really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, then that's kind of what changed post Call of Duty 4 was the campaign suffered more than anything else in the games. But this was sort of their first step towards having a much more scripted style. It was a much more linear approach to shooter campaign as opposed to Call of Duty 2. Yeah, I can't remember what Call of Duty 3 did on the campaign side because it was shit. But with Call of Duty 4, it still wasn't like the level of where it's going to be, but you can see the steps that it took. And it's not like, having a linear shooter or having like scripted moments are bad. And I think Call of Duty 4 campaign shows why isn't always bad. It can be used well if it's used sparingly, and it can be used very effectively. But it was the first step towards we're going to basically you're not really playing the campaign anymore. You're just sort of like pushing the analog stick forward and letting your AI teammates kill people and then trigger a big event.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Call of Duty 4, it was a quality campaign. The level design was good. It had, even if it's, especially with like how it got cliched past this point, the story is kind of really not that much there. But
it's enough for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
it's not overcomplicated.
And sort of the setting and the style is very interesting. Like it feels very authentic, even though a lot of it is not particularly actually authentic. It has like sort of the facade of authenticity, and that's enough. Like that sort of gets you involved. All the events feel plausible, even if some of them are very extreme. But you feel like this could actually happen, and that's very interesting. And that's sort of what gets you involved in it. It has this very cool, like sort of like Black Hawk Down-ish. Like it's it feels like this could really Black Hawk Down really happened, but it's like this feels like it's really authentic. This feels like it could really happen, and that really gets you involved in the events of the Call of Duty 4 campaign.
And it's got a lot of great personalities in it. Like Captain Price, awesome.
Yeah,
everybody loves Captain Price.
Yeah, from the fucking the big ass mustache that sort of like
the
curls
fuck
around.
Off mustache.
Yeah, Captain Price is fucking awesome. And yeah, just and actually, one of the
teammates are cool too.
Yeah, like I think Gaz is one of the guys who's got he's got a really cool British voice. Like I'm Gaz.
Yeah,
I don't know why I always talk like this, but I always talk like this. But yeah, you've got some really interesting stuff like that. The sort of like how the campaign's set up is one side you're playing is Soap McTavish. I guess British people. I guess Soap is a name in Britain. I guess. I don't know. But you're part of the British SAS, which is sort of like British Special Forces, and that's where you're dealing with most of the Russian stuff, and that's sort of the main part of the campaign, but there's sort of this other half of the campaign where you're a U.S. Marine over in this random Middle Eastern country, and so you have these sort of like two settings that ultimately the sort of the British SAS side takes over as being the main thrust of the campaign. But
to be fair, Soap McTavish's real name is John.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Also, to be fair, you would have no way of knowing that if you did not check the Wikipedia page for Call of Duty 4.
This is true. Which means Price's name is also John. Way too many Johns. Stupid.
But again, if you did not check the Wikipedia page for Call of Duty 4, that would not be an issue.
No.
I don't believe they ever tell you the name of Captain Price, who actually is in Call of Duty 2 as well.
Yes.
Or I guess his ancient ancestor,
yeah,
maybe, who has the exact same facial. It's like you inherit that facial hair if you're in the Price family, I guess, in the Call of Duty universe.
It's passed down. It's a sacred ritual.
Yeah, and also I guess you're automatically grandfathered into the British Secret Services. But yeah, the campaign is really interesting. There's one really big event that happens that's really interesting. That
you can spoil it. It's been
I'm setting it up.
Okay.
I'm saying it's one big event that's really interesting. That's really eye-opening about the campaign design of Call of Duty 4. Actually, they do it earlier in the Call of Duty 4 campaign, where after the sort of prologue happens, you take on the perspective of this Middle Eastern politician who's like the reigning politician of this country, who gets captured by the dude who's overthrowing him, and you sort of play for 3 minutes from his perspective, and you can't really do anything. You sort of look around and see this country in turmoil as this guy is taking it over and is just executing people on the streets, and then you get tied to a post and he fucking shoots you in the face with the Desert Eagle. That's a really awesome way to start up the campaign. And it's and again, there's there really isn't that much story, but that gives you this really nice sense of this could really happen. This is very a really interesting perspective. And then later on, another character that you play the perspective from dies, where you're a U.S. Marine. They set off this nuke in that Middle Eastern country, and you're in this helicopter when the nuke goes off, and the helicopter gets all fucked up from the EMP from the nuke, and it crashes. And the genius thing is that after it crashes, for like a minute, you play from the perspective of your guy who's basically dying from radiation poisoning and for whatever happened to him in the helicopter crash, and you sort of like crawl out, and you think you're going to be able to get away, but he just ends up collapsing and dying, and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That was such a brilliant bit of game design that it's not just that your character dies, but that he like lingers on for that just like little moment where you think, okay, there's something I'm going to get up, and then I'm going to start another mission with him and go take care of whatever the fuck happened with this nuke. It's like, nope, he fucking dies. It is really, really well done.
And then it happens 12 times per game.
Again, like to say, this is sort of like a theme with the Call of Duty games after Call of Duty 4, is that Call of Duty 4 does something really, really good, like it uses scripted events, or it uses sort of that, like, your character dying in a really effective way, and then everything else just sort of is like, well, we kind of have to top that and do that more and more and more, and it makes it really, really shitty.
I think I may be wrong, but it's either the first or one of the first missions in Modern Warfare 3 you die. I think you die in the opening thing of Modern Warfare 3, where you're in a helicopter trying to get into New York, and then you die. And then a couple missions later in Modern Warfare 3, you're with your family, and you've got a camera, and then your wife and daughter get blown up, and then you get shot. And then it's just, every other level.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's like the second or third mission in Modern Warfare 2, your guy dies.
And then you die again.
Yeah, you die again.
And you die again.
And then all of a sudden you're Soap McTavish, and then you almost die, but then you don't quite die. But yeah, that's discussion for after we get past Call of Duty 4.
Yeah.
But then, but Call of Duty 4, that's really awesome. I really like the ending to Call of Duty 4, where...
Really good.
Yeah, you have, like, this Jeep chase while you're chasing down, like, whatever the Russian supernationalist dude is this time.
Yeah.
And you sort of end... And this is another thing, Call of Duty games just kept on doing this in the later ones. At least Modern Warfare 2 did it again, where you, like, crash... and your guy's dying, and then all of your friends are being executed, and then, like, Captain Price, like, throws you this, like, Colt 45, and you're like, and then, like, your like, view is swaying, and you know your character's about to die, but then you kill him, you kill the Russian supernationalist. It's like, yeah, holy shit. Everybody basically dies on this mission, or at least it seems like everyone has died on this mission, where Captain Price fucking comes back, because I guess he was really popular, so we have to bring him back, even though he basically really clearly dies at the end of Call of Duty 4. But, it's a really cool way of ending the campaign. And the campaign in Call of Duty 4 is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Got a really fun post-credits level. Mile High Club.
Oh, yeah, the Mile High Club, where it's a really weird post-credits level where you have really no reason. You have no idea who your guy is. He's saving some random politician, but it seems like they created this really fun little level, and they're like, fuck it, we'll just make some people play it post-credits, and then we'll make a really hard achievement around it and piss people off.
Yes. So, that's the campaign. Multiplayer, though.
Yeah, the multiplayer is where Call of Duty 4, like, really, really shook things up, and where it's really innovative and sort of revolutionized multiplayer gaming, was that they introduced the concept of sort of I don't know if they introduced it, there's probably some shooter games that did it before, but they really popularized it and did it really well, where you have a progression-based system, where they kind of took the idea of, let's sort of like take the theory and the idea behind, RPGs and that level design and that progression, particularly MMOs, where you're sort of put on a treadmill, and there's a little reward at the end, where, if you do really well in the game, or even if you don't do particularly well in the game, you get some XP, and you level up, and then you get some shit for leveling up. So it gives you this sense of sort of continuity and this real sense of why you should be playing the multiplayer, because you have this persistent progression, and your character levels up, and he gets new gear, and it gives you a reason to play multiplayer past just having fun, and which is a really good bit of game design, and also a really dangerous bit of game design, in that you kind of stop playing the game because it's fun anymore, and to start playing it for that little, dopamine fix of, I leveled up, holy shit. It's like, ba-dum, and it plays that really awesome music every time you level up. So I should get that as a ringtone. That'd be a really awesome ringtone.
That would be awesome,
that little guitar riff that plays every time you level up in a Call of Duty game. But yeah, they introduced that idea of a progression-based multiplayer system, then also they added, obviously, the class-based system on top of it, and that's something that sort of, changed multiplayer, because it changes the idea, the fundamental idea behind the multiplayer, that it's no longer just, you go in, everyone's on completely level footing, and we just play the game that way, and when you come out, that match was in its own isolated area. It, no longer exists as far as you're concerned. It doesn't contribute to your character or you at all past, your real life experience taken from that game. Now all that is internalized into the game itself, and it's a literal experience system.
Yeah. It's good. I mean,
Yeah.
Call of Duty 4, I think the from a gameplay aspect, the most notable aspect of Call of Duty 4 is the weapons. And that jump from World War II weapons to these modern weapons.
Yeah, it really changes the way you play the game, because basically everything other than a sniper rifle is going to be fully automatic and is going to have it's going to be very accurate.
Yeah, and it's a very, I mean, again, later Call of Duty games add way too much shit on top of this, but it's a fun weapon sandbox.
Yeah, no, Call of Duty 4, like one of the reasons why I like the Call of Duty 4 multiplayer more than the ones that came after is because it's like you have that progression-based system, but it's focused. Like, there's not too much. You have your weapons, you can get extra camo for your weapons if you get headshots, you can get extra, like, scopes and shit for just getting kills with your weapons. And there's, like, there's, like, 5 assault rifles, there's, like, 5 submachine guns, there's, like, 3 snipers, there's a couple of shotguns, there's some pistols, and, like, you can level those up by using them, and, like, that's it. And then there are the perks, obviously, that are little, like, sort of like small gameplay boosts. Whereas, you can reload faster, you can shoot through a wall, you do a little bit extra damage, that kind of stuff. And then there are also the kill streaks, which are like the UAV, airstrike, and helicopter, where if you get 3 kills without dying, you get a UAV, that kind of stuff. But it's like, there wasn't too much of it. It was like, there's just enough where you wanted to get to max level to see everything there was. But you had a sense that no gun was particularly unbalanced, that, like, no gun was really heavily favored. You didn't have to, like, get a million kills with an assault rifle to get an ACOG scope or something like that. You could play the game a reasonable amount, get a good class, like, be able to stand up in the multiplayer, and that was it. And it was fun. It was focused, and there was not too much.
Yeah.
Later Call of Duty games, there was too much. Gotta spoil that now.
You spoiled the ending, Sean. How could you?
Yeah, but
Call of Duty went overboard. What?
Yeah, no, maybe a little bit.
So, any more to say on Modern Warfare?
I don't think so. Just, yeah, it's a really revolutionary step in game design, and you can really recognize that now that we're, like 5 years down the line. It has really heavily influenced what's come after it. Like, it's like we were talking on a Halo 4 podcast. If Call of Duty 4 did not exist, Halo 4 would be a very, very different game, and probably a worse game for it. I think even though, again, the later Call of Duty games went way overboard with it, the bare ideas and the way they were implemented in Call of Duty 4 were good and well executed, and that's what you should take from Call of Duty 4, not what the later Call of Duty games did with it. And I think Halo 4 did that in a very good way.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a quick question. This is kind of a silly thing, but are you on the same page with Modern Warfare, where you never think of it as Modern Warfare, but Call of Duty 4?
Yeah, I think of it as Call of Duty 4.
And then I think of the sequels as just 4. I call them Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2. And that's like
I guess it's because I really, really like Modern Warfare 1 and Call of Duty 4, so it's like, that's what I'm attached to. And I really like Call of Duty 2, so it's like, I'm attached to the Call of Duty 2 and 4.
Yeah.
Not so much with the Modern Warfare side of it.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, we can talk about that a little bit, about how ridiculous the naming stuff gets now, but...
Yeah. Well, because the next one, they decided, all right, we've had enough with numbers. So the next game, another Treyarch game, odd-numbered, they were doing Call of Duty World at War.
Yeah, which went back to World War II.
But now in the Pacific Theater.
And now with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll say this. I bought World at War, you bought World at War.
I rented it. And I played the campaign to completion, played some of the multiplayer.
Okay.
And the same thing with it I did with Call of Duty 3.
Okay. I've basically done... I think we own World at War, but I've played the campaign, played some multiplayer. I remember almost nothing about it.
I remember there's Kiefer Sutherland. I remember there were flamethrowers. I remember like some of the Pacific Theater stuff. I remember there was a really, really awesome looking level where you're taking Berlin from the Russian perspective. Like, that level looked really cool. And then I remember everything looked exactly like Call of Duty 4. That's basically what I remember from World at War. And Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes, I remember Kiefer Sutherland because that's all you hear all game is.
Yeah, because I don't remember the specifics of how the campaign's split up. I remember there's a Russian side of it, which is kind of interesting. But then, like, sort of like the main part of the Call of Duty World at War campaign is the American side, and Kiefer Sutherland plays like your sergeant or something like that. He plays your commanding officer in the squad you're in, and you're off in Japan doing stuff that Americans were doing in Japan in World War II, and Kiefer Sutherland yells at you.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
And then, but yeah, I remember almost nothing about the campaign.
I should say, I don't remember it being bad. Like, I remember enjoying the world. I remember it's a lot better than Call of Duty 3, because it is based on a really good engine, so it seems like at a certain point it was kind of hard for them to fuck it up, because the gameplay itself was good, because it's the Call of Duty 4 engine, and it runs at 60 frames per second, super smooth, super responsive, so the gameplay was good, and the level design was not bad. And so,
no, it's a fine game, I just don't remember. It's not very memorable. And
certainly not Call of Duty 4.
I remember literally nothing about multiplayer. What was multiplayer in World
War II?
It was
Call of Duty 4 multiplayer, but with World War II era weapons. And I think there were vehicles in it, too, from what I recall. And again, vehicles, shit, they do not work in Call of Duty games. I mean, luckily past this point, Treyarch's just like, nope, we're not doing vehicles in multiplayer. It doesn't fucking work. It never worked. They tried it twice, fucked it up both times. But yeah, the multiplayer was nothing particularly special. I played some of it mostly to get like a drum magazine on the Thompson machine gun, so I could be like a 1940s like mobster, because you got like the big.
Okay, now I remember some of that. Yeah, it was good.
It was basically Call of Duty 4 multiplayer. There were like some extra perks revolved around the vehicles, but other than that, it was just. And that was some part of the reason why it's not memorable. It's not that good. Is that it's basically just Call of Duty 4, but with World War II era weapons, but the modern era weapons work better with the style of game that Call of Duty 4 was, and sort of like taking the engine, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of bolt action and semi-automatic rifles as your like primary weapons did not work that well, from what I remember. Everyone basically just took a submachine gun because that's what worked with the engine the best, was a fully automatic weapon.
So again, World at War was a quality purchase. It's fine. It was fun for what it was.
Yeah, but it wasn't like an astounding game.
No, but the astounding part
was Kiefer Sutherland.
Was Nazi zombies. And
I forgot that was even in World at War.
I will come out and say, just up front, the best thing I think Call of Duty has done since Call of Duty 4 is the Nazi zombies stuff in the Treyarch games. I love Nazi zombies in World at War. I love it even more in Black Ops. And if I buy Black Ops 2, it will be 99% for the expanded zombies mode. It's really fun in World at War, the different maps they have for Nazi zombies. Just that mode is a really fun sort of horde mode style where zombies are coming. They're slow-moving zombies, sort of classic zombies. You have World War II weapons, and you've got to fight them off, and you have to, like defend and defend all the windows and like put up barricades and things. And it's a really, really addictive game type, especially if you have friends playing with you, because it just becomes this endurance where you can never really win, but you can try over and over, and every time you fail, you're like, oh, fuck, gotta get back in, I'm not gonna let those zombies win! Yeah. And man, is it fun, and it got even better in Black Ops, but it's really good in World at War, and fucking, I love that. And I know you're not the same level.
I played some of Nazi Zombies. I played it with some of my friends, and it seemed fun. But this is also around when Left 4 Dead came out, so it's like Left 4 Dead is. And then also, just something I have with Nazi Zombies is it's just conceptually is not something I want in a Call of Duty game. And that's, even though it's fun, it's like it doesn't fit. And this is sort of like one of the first steps towards Call of Duty just becoming completely fucking ridiculous. Or if I think of like Call of Duty 4 and Call of Duty 2, which are games I absolutely love, and think of like that having Nazi zombies, it's fucking stupid. And that's weird. It's really, it's like, even though it's fun, I can't get past how fucking stupid it is, just conceptually. Like, it would be fine in a different kind of game. It's like Left 4 Dead. I mean, Left 4 Dead is very different than Nazi zombies, but it's like, the ideas behind it are very good gameplay design. Should be its own game. It should just be a completely separate game at this point. Well, especially now, because it's so expanded. It seems like it's basically treated like it's its own full thing in Black Ops 2. Like, in the main menu of Black Ops 2, it's like single player, multiplayer, zombies. It's like, why the fuck is zombies there? Make your own fucking zombie game. Why is it in my Call of Duty? Get it out of my Call of Duty.
I agree. I would rather see Treyarch or Infinity Ward or Activision just make a Call of Duty style Nazi zombies game. That would be more fun. But the thing for me is just that, I haven't been very interested by the other Call of Duty stuff that has come out since Modern Warfare or Call of Duty 4. And so that's at least something different. Like, that's them innovating and trying something new, and it's not just the same fucking thing every single goddamn year. Mm-hmm. And so I like it for that. I agree it's odd when you stop and think, why is zombies in Call of Duty? But, why does half the shit in Modern Warfare 2 exist in Call of Duty? I mean, it's just...
Although, one thing I'll say that also sort of, like, one of the reasons why I don't particularly like zombies is that in the one thing I really love about Modern Warfare 2 is Spec Ops. Zombies replaced Spec Ops, at least for the Treyarch games. They don't do Spec Ops. They do fucking zombies. Spec Ops is awesome. Zombies shouldn't be there. even if it's a fun game, doesn't belong. Spec Ops totally belongs, and Spec Ops was badass.
Okay, but Zombies, to me, it's better designed, it's better implemented than most of what Call of Duty has done since Call of Duty 4.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that's my argument.
But I'm saying I would rather have them make a good, see what was good about Call of Duty 2 and 4, and make a good Call of Duty game in that vein, instead of it suddenly becoming Zombies.
I agree.
I want to play Black Ops 2. I want there to be a really good Call of Duty game because I really love Call of Duty 2 and 4. It's but it doesn't, they keep on taking steps away from that in the wrong direction. It's really frustrating.
Yeah. All right. So that's World at War. Now Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which is sort of where, World at War was just sort of it was similar, but it's not controversial in any way.
Yeah.
Then Modern Warfare 2 comes out, and this is when people start, for one, it's when the franchise goes boom financially and just explodes.
Yeah, because this is the big turning point in the Call of Duty franchise to me. Past, Modern Warfare 3 or Modern Warfare 1 in terms of, actually, revolutionizing gameplay design. But Modern Warfare 2 was where the hype was all around it because it was Infinity Ward hit hard with Call of Duty 4. Infinity Ward was coming back for Modern Warfare 2. And so there was so much hype around it. I was so fucking excited for Modern Warfare 2.
I did too. I remember the day this came out. We were in high school, and I think me and some other people, we went at lunch to go to GameStop and pick it up.
I went home at lunch and loaded up Modern Warfare 2 and played some of it. Yeah. Because I was so fucking excited for Modern Warfare 2 because Call of Duty 4 was really, really good. And I should say right now, this may spoil my judgment of Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 was the last Call of Duty game I played. That is where I stopped playing Call of Duty games with Modern Warfare 2.
Okay. I have kept playing all of them, so I know I like Modern Warfare 2 more than you, but I don't know if I'm going to disagree with a single one of your complaints.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2 is a good game. I want to say that now because I'm going to start getting really negative about it, other than Spec Ops. But Modern Warfare 2 overall as a game, it's still a very, very good game. And all the Call of Duty games, I imagine past this point, are still very good games because they're built on a very good, solid video game engine. But
let me say, and I agree with Modern Warfare 2. I like it very much. And there's some things about it I actually even like more than Modern Warfare 1. But let's just get into it. What don't you like about Modern Warfare 2?
Well, let's start with the campaign.
It's incoherent, and we have no idea what the fuck happens at any given moment.
Yeah. So with Modern Warfare 2, with the campaign, Call of Duty 4 had a very, very leisurely style with how it was doing storytelling. It was very sparse. There was a story basically there. It was, there were Russian super nationalists. They were backing some Middle Eastern revolution, and you had to go in and take care of that because it was bad. Because they're Russian and they're Middle Eastern people, so whatever they do has to be bad in some way. So we have to stop them. That was basically it. That was what happened in Call of Duty 4. And it was plausible, it made sense, you would like I said, it felt authentic and it was cool.
And it spoke to what the threats are in today's, combat theaters, which is not about nations, it's more about sort of individual cells and sort of threats you can't see. And
it's sort of speaking to the war on terror and that side of it. Because it's modern warfare.
It played into that paranoia.
And then Modern Warfare 2 turned into a fucking Michael Bay movie. And this is where the scripting is not necessarily completely out of control, like I understand it went in Modern Warfare 3, but it was much heavier. It was Modern Warfare 2 was all based around set pieces, where Modern Warfare 1 had some huge set pieces, and when they happened, they were impactful. Like we said, with the nuke, that was very impactful. Like the beginning of the game, that was a very impactful set piece. The end of the game was a very impactful set piece.
But there was pacing to it.
Yeah, but there was pacing in the gameplay itself in between those massive set pieces. Were about the gameplay and not about getting just to a set piece or about setting up a big set piece. Modern Warfare 2 was about, okay, we're going to go to the favela, and then it's we're going to have this crazy, parkour set piece, and then it's helicopters are going to, explode, and it's a set piece, and then you have to run on this, and it's a set piece, and none of it is about, the gameplay and the shooting and the tactics anymore. It's all about what crazy shit can happen now. And that's, what drives the fundamentals of the game design in the storytelling and the gameplay in Modern Warfare 2's campaign, and that's why I recently tried to replay Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2's campaign, and I couldn't fucking do it. Because it's not a well-designed campaign. Even though I think the first time through it's a lot of fun, it does not replay well at all.
No.
Especially when you realize the story is just we took that idea of authenticity and we shat on it and threw it out the window, and we made Red Dawn the video game.
Yeah, pretty much. It's so over the top, and it's so weird to me that kind of became the model for at least the Infinity Ward Call of Duty games. Is we're living in a fantasy land where the Russians, far after they're America's enemies, decide they're just going to invade American shores.
Yeah.
And do it by parachute.
Storm the White House,
Yeah.
And then just, I think what settled it for me was the point at which you find Captain Price in the Gulag, and it's like, one, how the fuck is Captain Price still alive? And then Captain Price, sends off 5 nukes. You have no idea why. You don't really know where. You think those are the nukes that go to the U.S., but it's just what the fuck is going on? Did Captain Price go completely insane? Why are we... What is happening anymore? It's just what the fuck is going on? Why is Captain Price alive? Why are there nukes here? Why are there 5 nukes, and why are we shooting them at America? This has just got fucking crazy.
And then at the end, you have... here's something we should mention.
Oh god, I forgot about the general betrayal twist.
Yeah, the general comes and betrays you, but...
Fucking telegraph from a mile away.
Right, but here's why it's a really bad story decision, is that you may remember a lot of the controversy around Modern Warfare 2 was that there's a level early on where no Russian, where you play as an undercover operative who's with a terror cell. They go into an airport and they shoot everyone there. And you can shoot everyone. You can just gun down defenseless civilians.
If you're a man, that's what you do. You pussy out if you don't shoot the civilians in that mission. That's a deciding moment of what kind of a gamer you are, how dedicated you are to role playing the first person shooter campaign is whether or not you start gunning down the civilians. I did without a second thought.
Oh, I had fun doing it. I'm terrible. You know that I become a psychopath.
Yeah, you do it I how we did the same thing for completely different reasons. You're I finally get to shoot completely innocent people in a Call of Duty game. This is the one thing that's been missing. Because you can't kill your allies, so I've been missing out on killing people who don't deserve to be killed in these games. Where I was this is a really tough decision, but I'm the CIA operative, I'm undercover, I have to do this or else they're going to find out who I am. They'll find out who you are anyways. That's the first of the many character deaths featured in Modern Warfare 2 from your perspective. This CIA operative dies. Right? That would be kind of interesting, right? If you did really well and you just killed every fucking civilian you saw, and because of that they never found out you're a CIA operative. If you did that really well in that mission, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
They didn't do that.
No,
they didn't do that. That goes against their game design philosophy. But
in any case, it's a very disturbing level, especially visually.
It was really controversial when it came out, where to the point where there's an option when you start up the game of where it's there's some shit happens in this game that you might not want to see. It's funny because they can't really say it, or else they would just spoil it. So there's this mission called No Russian. You might want to skip it. They're no, I bought the game. I want to play the fucking game.
Yeah. So anyway, but here's the thing: is that I would defend that as a story decision if
it paid off.
If it paid off, because the point of that scene is that it's setting up the villain of the game. What's his name? Makarov. And you have to... This is sort of a rule of storytelling on a big scale like this, is that if you're going to have a big, larger-than-life villain, you have to have the moment where we come to hate him, so that the comeuppance really hits.
This sets up the villain and sort of defines him as the villain. That's why it's in here, and I agree. And this is what I've always been saying about Modern Warfare 2, is that level would be totally justified and really well done if it had been paid off. But just as setting up the villain, it was a really smart decision because you get to see what he's doing. Directly, you are there on the ground with him, fucking just mowing down completely innocent people to set up a war between Russia and America. It's that's a really good idea of how to set up this villain in the game.
And then you find out that Makarov isn't important in the fucking slightest.
Yes, you don't even fucking, he's just gone for the rest of the game. You never see Makarov again. You, invade his compound one time and you sort of, hear him over the radio. I think he helps you capture the general. But past what happens in No Russian, Makarov's basically pointless. You're, sort of just chasing this MacGuffin of Makarov for the rest of the game, and then you find out there's this other guy's the real villain, and then he never comes up again. I don't know if he's the enemy in Modern Warfare 3.
He is.
Okay,
but that's not. I'm sorry.
That's not. No, he should have been. That should have been the end of Modern Warfare 2. Is you should have put a bullet in Makarov's head. That's how that game should have ended, because that would have made that moment really satisfying. But it's been payoff for the No Russian mission.
But because there's no payoff, I do think No Russian is an incredibly tasteless mission.
Yeah, it's really tasteless and exploitative because it doesn't serve a proper narrative function. So it's just there to be oh, this is so crazy and controversial. How much can we get people to talk about a Call of Duty campaign? We make a fucking No Russian mission.
Yeah.
And then they keep on doing it as far as I'm aware. Like, I haven't played the other campaigns, but I heard that they're, like, they try to one-up that, basically.
Yeah, basically, in 3. But yeah, so that's, the Modern Warfare 2 campaign is nuts. And the nuts element of it can be kind of fun the first time you play it. But then, again, you go...
Yeah, but trying to replay it is hard. It is definitely, that is not a good game. That does not replay well because there's not a lot of, like, player utility or choice in the individual missions. They're super linear, so it's like, you feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over again if you try to replay it. And then also, as far as, like, a narrative perspective, again, like, it's not like the Call of Duty games are really big on narrative, but they're never... They don't have bad stories, and that's where it's really different. Like, the story is sparse and serves its purpose in the earlier games, and here there's too much story and it's a bad story. Like Captain Price comes back. There's this like general that you're working for who betrays you, and you have no idea why the fuck he betrays you. Like, that's never explained. And it's really, and even though there's no reason for it, it's really kind of obvious. You just get the sense that this guy's actually evil, and he betrays you, and you like fucking kill him. You do the same thing at the end where it's like, oh, I'm almost dying. I have like a knife in my chest, and I pull it out. You put, like, they make Soap from the first game, like a character now, and he like talks. He kind of takes the place of Captain Price, and I think you play a guy named Roach, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Again, British people. I guess Soap and Roach are their names. I'm just going to ignore his name's John because he's never called John. So.
Right.
But like Soap is this like talking ally character, and then you take his perspective after Roach dies. Spoilers of like one of the 3 people who die in fucking the Modern Warfare 2 campaign. You take back the perspective of Soap, and he doesn't talk anymore because you're playing as him, which is really weird that you made him a character, and now I'm playing as him again.
But then the other thing that Modern Warfare 2 does shitty is that with the stories, again, you talk about how the general betrays you, and then once that happens, that's the rest of the game, is getting revenge on this guy, when apparently a war is starting, and that's just ignored for the end of the game.
Yeah, no, there's like, America, or Russia has invaded America. That side never really gets wrapped up. There's Keith, like, one thing that's great about the campaign, Keith David's in it, so...
Oh yeah, well, Keith David makes everything better.
Yeah, he's the new Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes.
He plays like one of like your sergeant on the American sides. There.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about Modern Warfare 2's campaign is Keith David's in it.
Yes. So anyway, it's really disappointing, really disjointed, and basically it puts off all its story onto Modern Warfare 3, which is similarly disjointed, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, like I said,
I can talk about 3.
Yeah. And then let's talk about the multiplayer now.
It's Modern Warfare 1
on fucking crack.
Yes.
It's basically the same thing as the campaign. It's just like they took what happened in Modern Warfare 1 and then went in this really bad direction with it and went way too far in that direction with it. Where Modern Warfare 2 is the multiplayer suite in Modern Warfare 2 is the multiplayer suite in Modern Warfare 1 with just shit piled and heaped on top of it. Where they took the simple basic progression system that was logical and made sense and made the game balanced and fun in Modern Warfare 1, and we're like, we're going to make you use this, like, get a million kills to get, like, all the unlockables with, like, these million different guns that are all the exact same fucking guns. We're going to have perks that can level up. We're going to have, 25 fucking kill streaks that can, like, level up. And just, like, and it's like, you can level up the pistols, you can get a shotgun that secondary that levels up. It's like, we're just going to give you, like, all this shit. And all of it is the same and stupid and pointless, and it's just this fucking treadmill that you run on that's like, you can get to the max, you can get to level 55, I think, or is it 65 in Modern Warfare 2, whatever the level cap is in Modern Warfare 2, without having unlocked, like, a quarter of all the stuff in the game, because there's just way, way, way too fucking much, and it makes the game completely fucking unbalanced.
Yeah, no, it's bad. And the only way I can play Call of Duty multiplayer past Modern Warfare 2, like Modern Warfare 2 on, is to ignore all of that, just make a simple class early on with 2 guns that are there that I like, and then ignore it. You can't put energy into it. It's not fun.
Yeah. And we were talking about this before, where, like, with Modern Warfare 2, I got into this really weird, dark place with Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer. Because, like I said, I legitimately enjoyed just the gameplay and the maps. I liked Call of Duty 4's multiplayer. I really liked it. And I was super excited for Modern Warfare 2. So I played quite a lot of Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, and it's like, and at some point I realized I did not like playing the multiplayer. I did not enjoy it. I did not like playing the game, and the only reason I was playing it was to level up something. And I realized that's a terrible reason to play the game. I hate playing this fucking game. And so then I was like, I have to stop. Because they just, like, they're so addictive. It's like, I just want that guitar riff. I just want the fucking ACOG scope on my M16, which fucking, like, completely unbalanced the multiplayer of the M16. It was way too powerful in that game. It's like, but there's just all this shit that you can unlock that's basically fucking useless. It's like, I just had to stop playing the game because I didn't like playing the game, but the game made me want to play it because of its stupid, like nicotine rush. It's like, was addicted to it. It's like, fucked up. The multiplayer in that game is fucked up. It's fucked up. It's like World of Warcraft. There's just a certain point you have to stop because it's not fun. You have to realize it's not fucking fun anymore.
Yeah. So, anything else to say about Modern Warfare 2? Spec Ops?
Yeah, I wanted to, just with the multiplayer a little bit more, was just, in particular, the kill streaks were so fucking ridiculous. I think in particular, it's like, there's the helicopter gunner and the AC-130, which were high-level kill streaks, but if you got them, they contributed, like, all the kills you got with the AC-130 contributed to a further kill streak. So, if you got it, you basically won the entire game, because then you could get the nuke really easily after the AC-130, which just won the game for you. So that was completely unbalanced. And the one thing that I actually did enjoy, but it was a bad way to play the multiplayer, basically, because you wouldn't ever do well in the multiplayer, was that you could, if you used like a pistol or submachine gun enough and leveled it up, you had to fucking level up everything to a stupid point in this game. But you could get akimbo, which is just basically dual wielding it. So all I would do is I would like level up my pistols and get akimbo pistols and run around with akimbo pistols and try to play it that way. Because that was fun, but you would never win a game. And that, if you want to play Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, I recommend that's how you do it. Just use pistols and that's it. Because that's the most fun you can have with that game, other than like exploiting the game and being a fucking asshole. And then that's another thing where the game was super buggy. There was like a different exploit to like use like a Stinger missile and you could completely kill everyone on the map in a stupid way that would get like patched and then another exploit would come up. Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer just sucked. And it sucked in a lot of different ways that are too numerous to go into.
And I will say this, I have played all of the Call of Duties up to Black Ops 2. Modern Warfare 2 does have the worst multiplayer. Like, they rebounded.
Yeah, from what I heard of like what they did with Black Ops multiplayer, it sounded like it fixed some of the problems in Modern Warfare 2.
Absolutely. So, do you want to say anything about Spec Ops before we go on?
Yeah, I want to say, I said this a little bit before, but Spec Ops is the good part of Modern Warfare 2. That's coming out of it. I can say Spec Ops was really well designed, and Spec Ops was a lot of fun. And basically, if you don't know, Spec Ops was their sort of like multiplayer, like co-op mode, where they were, I think it was like 30 or so, like sort of chunk, bite-sized campaign missions, but you played co-op. And if you have a friend who has Modern Warfare 2 and you haven't played Spec Ops, fucking play those missions and play them on the hardest difficulty because they are super fun. Some of them are really, really creative. Like there's one where you play as the gunner, as the AC, or one person plays as the gunner in the AC-130 and the other person plays as someone on the ground. And so you're sort of like providing them this tactical coverage from the air while they're trying to get to the objective. That mission's super fucking fun. And there's one of my favorite ones is one of the first missions is you're two people, you're like snipers, and you're on top of like the snow level, and you're on top of this tower, and you're like 500 meters, like is like the closest people tend to get to you if you play the mission well. So it's like you are killing people from really far away. So it's like just you two dudes really far away from anyone else on your own on top of this tower sniping people, and it's a really fun mission. One thing I love about it though is that in particularly in Modern Warfare 2, every time you reload, your character like shouts out something, and it's really fucking hilarious when it's just you two guys like just on your own. It's super quiet, other than like the sounds of like the silent sniper rifles going off, and you're really far away, and then all of a sudden one of you just like reloading. I'm changing mags, and it's just like you're just like shouting in each other's ears from like just on your own. It's really fucking hilarious. It's really hard to explain how funny it is. It's just like the pure silence of the game. It's like, I'm out of ammo! It's like, you couldn't just like turn that option off, guys. They shout it at the top of their fucking lungs. And then the other one that is the best fucking mission in the game, because it's super fucking hard, is it's in the last set of Spec Ops missions. And again, I played all these on Veteran. I think, Veteran's the hardest one, right? Uh-huh. I can't remember all the multiplayer, or the difficulty modes, but I played on all the hardest difficulty, which is how you have to play this, because it makes them a lot more fun. And the last one is they have these dudes called Juggernauts, which are basically guys in these like giant heaping like body armor that are really hard to kill. And it's like the mission is you have to kill like 9 or 10 of them, and all you have basically are these like grenade launchers, and you're just put in this really small mission with like these tight corridors, and you have to kill all these juggernauts, and it's really hard. I played that mission over and over and over again with my friend, just like memorizing where the spawn points and the AI patterns, and we couldn't do it. And then eventually we found this exploit where we like got into this building. Like one of us like were in this corner to sort of like draw the juggernauts in, and then the other one of us was hiding behind this like little table, and they couldn't see you and shoot you when you were behind the table. So you could just like shoot at them from the doorway. It was like they couldn't do anything and kill you. So like the only way I know to beat that mission is to use the exploit where they can't see you and shoot you, and you just kill them from there. But again, Spec Ops is super fucking fun. I would almost say if you have a good friend who like would also play it with you, that would almost be worth the price of admission alone. Like that's especially now that Modern Warfare 2 is discounted. Spec Ops is awesome, and it's sad to me that zombies in the Treyarch's game it overtakes that, because Spec Ops is some of the most fun I've had playing a game.
Yeah. Well, Spec Ops is back in 3, and it's the best part of 3 also. Modern Warfare 3.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. No, it is, and it's...
Maybe someday I'll pick up Modern Warfare 3.
I have, and I'll just bring it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, play some fucking Spec Ops, because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we should do that sometime. Anyway, the next game in the series was Black Ops, the next Treyarch game, and the spot where Treyarch comes into their own and sort of flips the reputation.
Yeah, where, again, after Modern Warfare 2, even though a lot of people really liked it, it's sort of everyone saw this like this is going in a bad direction.
Yeah,
and so that's like they kind of got down on Infinity Ward after MW2.
Yeah, so Black Ops I have kind of a weird relationship with, because I've tried several times to play the campaign and I've gotten pretty far and I've never beat it. And I'll say up front, I've never beat Modern Warfare 3 either. And this problem is the same in both of them, is that 2 is so big and so concentrated on, the big shit that happens.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And it's all set pieces, and there's very little player control. And at that point, that's all of Call of Duty is sort of the same thing. Black Ops is the same way, Modern Warfare 3. And I get bored with it. I don't feel like I'm playing a game. It's like, if I want to watch an action movie, I'll go watch a fucking action movie. That's not what I bought this game for.
Yeah.
And so Black Ops just burns me out, even though I want to say this and make it clear, Black Ops has an interesting story. And it has... Treyarch went to great lengths to try to tell an interesting story in an interesting way. The whole plot is you're this character named Alex Mason, who's voiced by the guy from Avatar, Sam Worthington.
Yeah.
And you're being tortured. It's like the 70s, and sort of you have to go back through your history and talk about different missions you were on in the Vietnam War, pre-Vietnam, post-Vietnam, sort of in the whole sort of era of communist containment.
Yeah.
And
back when the Russians were actually our enemies.
Yes. So it's good in that way, and it's got really good voice acting. Sam Worthington's good. Gary Oldman is the villain. He's great. So there's a lot... Or is he the villain, or is he just a... I forget. Gary Oldman's in it. He's really good. There's a lot of good stuff in the game. I think there's some fun missions. I got kind of burned out on it, but I will say it is a much better game than Modern Warfare 2, and it's one of the best campaigns in the series. I mean, it's an interesting one. I've never gotten all the way to the end because I just kind of get bored with it, but, if you like Call of Duty, I can see why people like Black Ops so much. I mean, it's... Yeah. It's a kind of a breath of fresh air. It's much better than Modern Warfare 3, I'll say that too. But the main thing with Black Ops is that, again, the multiplayer... Have you played any of Black Ops?
No. I played the demo of Black Ops, and I was like, kind of like, this is Call of Duty again.
Yeah. The multiplayer, it's sort of similar to Modern Warfare 2 in that it's got all this shit stacked on it, and I do think all the leveling systems are way too complicated, and if you start playing it... Like, I think I got it for Christmas, but it came out in November. So on the day I started playing it, it's like I could never get a kill because everyone else has.
Yeah, it's like the super sniper rifle or like the awesome grenade launcher attachment or something like that.
But that being said, once I got into it, I do like the Black Ops multiplayer. I've played it the most of any multiplayer besides Modern Warfare 1 and maybe 2, because I played a lot of Modern Warfare 2 also. Mm-hmm. But Black Ops is really, really good multiplayer, I think, overall. They did do enough to sort of balance the leveling system, even if it isn't perfect, because I do feel like if you can grind through those first couple levels, you could make much more of a stand than you could in Modern Warfare 2, and it's not just completely insane, batshit crazy. The kill streaks are a little more controlled. It's not nearly as buggy.
There's no, like, AC-130 where it's like, it's over. We're done. He just got all the kills that need to be killed in a fucking Call of Duty game.
Yeah, I think there's some of stuff like that, but maybe you can defend against it better, or it doesn't last as long. Mm-hmm. I don't know what these specific changes are. I haven't gone in that deep to it, I guess. Yeah. But I always had fun with it. The maps are really good in this game, and that's one of the only Call of Duty games I've ever kind of thought that about, is it's got really fun maps. I enjoyed playing on it. I have a lot of fun memories. My favorite game type in that is, I forget what it's called. It's their sort of not version of Territories. Dominion or something. That's on
Yeah,
Halo 4.
But I think it's a mode in Call
Okay.
of Duty also.
Yeah,
There's a lot of different modes I don't know the names for.
Right.
Call of Duty games.
But anyway, a lot of fun, good weapons. I think I like that middle weapon set where it's not World War II, but it's not modern and sort of in the middle there. Those are fun
it's
weapons.
Like sort of the AK and M16, like the dominant weapons.
I think that's the big difference between this and World at War is that those work much better with the leveling system than straight up World War II weapons did.
Yeah.
So again, it's fun to play. That's a fun one. And again, the main attraction here, I think, is the zombies. They expanded it from what it was like in World at War.
Is it still Nazi zombies?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's just zombies.
Because I was going to say, it'd be weird if you were fighting Nazi zombies in
Yeah.
Vietnam era.
Right. The main map for the zombies is much bigger and much more interesting. It's a lot of fun to play on. And there's the presidential zombies, where you play in the White House as Kennedy, Nixon, McNamara, and one other person who I don't remember, but it's in the 60s, and Kennedy gives a big speech about how they need to fight the zombies, and then they're holed up in the White House, and that's really fun.
We fight these zombies not because it's easy, but because it is hard.
I think he may say that.
Yeah. Well, good, because he should say that.
Yeah. Something like that. So anyway, it's fun. Black Ops is a good game. It definitely contributed to my sort of continual burning out on Call of Duty. Like, when Modern Warfare 3 came out a year later, I told myself I wasn't going to buy it, because while I enjoyed Black Ops, I was still all I wanted it for was multiplayer, and I was still enjoying it. I don't really remember why I bought Modern Warfare 3 eventually. I think it was because I had a bunch of trade-in credit at Best Buy, and I got it for free. So that's probably why I got it.
Well, that's good. At least you didn't directly pay money for it.
No, I did not. I did not pay money for Modern Warfare 3, which is good because Modern Warfare 3 is not a bad game. But it's like
I can understand your sort of, because it's the same thing with Modern Warfare 2. It's the shooting and everything in Modern Warfare 2 is still the shooting and everything in Modern Warfare 1, so it's still good, but all this stuff around it's shit, and it's the same fucking thing. So it's hard to call it, bad. But it's kind of bad.
It is. I do think it's probably better than Modern Warfare 2 on all fronts, because it's not... I can't say the campaign is less batshit crazy, because it is, but the multiplayer is more controlled and balanced. Spec Ops has been expanded into sort of a full-blown mode, which is nice, because people liked it and they recognized it and they did more with it, so that's good. Mm-hmm. But I do want to start with the campaign, because I was interested in playing Modern Warfare 3 campaign, because 2 left so many loose ends. I was kind of interested in, from a story standpoint, of, are they going to do anything with this? Can it be tied off interestingly? Is there going to be an ending? And I don't know, because eventually I just stopped caring.
That far?
No, it's, in the first level, you're in New York, and New York has been decimated, and it's empty, and you're just fighting. It's become a war zone with you and the Russians, and it's like World War III. I mean, that's what it is. The whole plot of the game is it's World War III, and so you're playing
Modern Warfare, World War III.
Yeah, you're playing New York, and it's completely destroyed. You fight in the stock market, and then at the end of that,
for some reason, I'm just picturing Captain Price. He's waiting, just trying to get the good stock. And Makarov's trying to block him on it.
Yeah, that would
fighting in the stock market. I'm going to get that Apple stock, I swear.
And then at the end of that level, you have to get out on this boat and run around New York Harbor in your boat, and then get on this submarine, and then
that was that was what they always showed at E3.
Yeah,
the E3 thing was
and then you have to set off submarines. You have to set off nukes from the submarine and nuke people because there's just
you had to have a billion nukes now because we did a nuke Modern Warfare 1. We did 5 and 2. Now we have to have all it's just a nuke every second.
Yeah, so you're sending missiles all over the fucking place. Then you get off that sub, you blow that sub up. Then you get on your own sub and you go away. And then the next level, you're in Air Force One and you're the president. And you're not the president. The president. Sorry,
that'd be awesome.
He's voiced by Harrison Ford. It's it's an homage. No, you're a Secret Service agent or something, or a Marine, someone on Air Force One, and terrorists attack Air Force One. What the hell? And then you have to fight the terrorists off. It's basically an expanded version of Mile High Club from Modern Warfare 1, but then the plane crashes and you're killed. Not right away. You get out, and then you have some fighting there, and then Makarov comes, and that's how he's reintroduced as he kills you. And then he kidnaps the president.
I was the villain.
So Makarov kidnaps the president, and then there's you're in Paris, and the Eiffel Tower gets destroyed.
What? And what did France ever do? France never, ever came up in Modern Warfare 1 and 2. They were not fucking involved. Why are people attacking France?
And that's the thing. I don't think there are any French people in that part. You're just your Marines again, or maybe your SAS, and you're fighting Russians, but the French don't enter into it, and you're just running through the streets. You're going down the Champs-Élysées in tanks. And
it's just like you had all the Russian people walking from Russia, all the British people like walking from Britain, and they just ended up in France, and so they're just fighting there, I guess.
Yeah, and again, that climax, I don't think it even climaxes, it like opens, you blow up the Eiffel Tower.
Of course.
Yeah.
So again, set pieces it's like we're just doing set pieces now.
Yeah. And so, again, it just goes like that over and over and over, and then I think maybe a nuke goes off in France.
It's like you blow up the Great Wall of China.
Oh, I think EMPs enter into it now and things like that.
Well, because there's an EMP in Modern Warfare 2 because of the nuke.
Yeah.
Do you remember it specifically if it's like a dedicated EMP machine or if it's like a nuke EMP?
I may be wrong on that. I know there's some new kind of device like that. I do remember at one point it's just not necessarily nukes, but there are these bombs going off in France. That's when you're playing as a dad and you have the camera and you're taking pictures of your little girl.
It's their no Russian moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's just exploitative because it has nothing to do with anything else. It's just...
This time it sounds like there isn't even like potential. It isn't even like this could have payoff because it's not even connected to anything.
No, it's not connected to shit. And so, I don't remember where I stopped, but it was probably midway through the game because... This game, Modern Warfare 2 has some player control. Like, you still do some things on your own. Modern Warfare 3 is almost entirely scripted. I mean, yes, you still go down city streets and shoot people and move forward, but at most, you are going to be going down a hallway. And the hallway could be a street, it could be a literal hallway, it could be a bridge, whatever, but it's just a fucking hallway. You shoot people, you crouch, you shoot people, you crouch, and then a big scripted event happens. Or you get in a car and you do the turret while shit goes on all around you.
The fucking turret. Can we be done with turret sections? Does anybody like turret sections in fucking first-person shooter campaigns? Always, every time I get to those parts, I'm like, well, shit, this is either going to be really stupidly easy and boring or really stupidly hard and frustrating. I have not enough control around it.
And it's frustrating.
I fucking hate turret sections. Just stop doing turret sections. God damn it, I hate them.
Well, I forgot, the other thing that's going on in this game is that you also have Captain Price and Soap are back, and it's sort of like Soap's Jack Bauer moment, where this happens like an hour after Modern Warfare 2 ends, and he's had that horrible wound to the chest, but he just gets back up and starts fighting.
Where at the end of Modern Warfare 2, it really heavily implies that Soap's probably going to bleed out. Like, he's just like, you're fucked. You are dying on the ground, you passed out and like came back to consciousness with a knife in your chest, you pulled the knife out and threw it and killed the general. That's how Modern Warfare 2 ends. There's no fucking way you'd be fine after that happened.
The pulling it out would kill you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, it was a really badass moment, and I thought that was a cool way to end the campaign, even if it didn't tie off the Makarov thing. Just the idea of that moment was really cool. But it's like, mostly because you got to see Price and the General Dude just have a really badass fist fight.
Yeah.
That was a cool thing. But it's like,
so anyway, now Price is like very much the main character in 3.
You mean
like
his facial hair is the main character.
Yeah, well, it's his story now. It's like, it turns out he and Makarov have some connection. What? Whatever, I don't know. Like, this is personal now.
Because it was personal in Modern Warfare 1 because he like shot off that one dude's arm.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess we're doing it's personal again.
Pretty much. So that's the other plot that's going on, is that you sort of, as Soap, you wake up in sort of like some third world country where you've been taken to heal, but it's only like a day later, and you've gotten up, and you and Price have to escape, and so you're running around, and for some reason it doesn't, or maybe you don't play as Soap, you play as another guy who's like there, but he gets killed really fast.
Does he have a really stupid, ridiculous British name too? Do you remember? I'm legitimately curious.
Okay, you do not have a silly name in Modern Warfare 3. You are Yuri.
I think that's a knock against Modern Warfare 3. Like, we were making fun of them, but I like that you played as a dude named Soap and a dude named Roach.
Well, you do play as a dude named Frost.
No, that's not the... That's okay. Like, because there's like a dude in Modern Warfare 2 who was named Ghost. It's like, it's like a stupid name, but it's a cool name.
Yeah. So anyway, you play as Yuri because Soap, I guess, is injured, but Soap is still a main character. He and Price. So anyway, you have a lot of missions with them that are not quite as big as the shit in Paris and New York and all these other places, but it's still really big. I mean, that first mission, like, it's just incredibly large waves of Russians, wave after wave coming to kill you because you don't really know.
We're Russians.
Yeah, and then
That's what we do.
Then you get out, and then you're sort of investigating and trying to find Makarov on your own because now you're soldiers of fortune because you killed the general and like they're all hunting you down. So I think you also fight Americans at some point. It's stupid, and I just got burned out on Modern Warfare 3 so fast because it's nothing but massive set pieces, and you have very little control over it, and it's just trying to... It's basically like when you have a puppy, and you're like, the puppy, you want to like play with the puppy, so you just take some like your keys and you dangle and you go, woo, ooh, look, puppy, it's keys, and then that doesn't really entertain it, so you get a bone, and you wiggle that in front of the fucking puppy, and then you take, like, a bigger shiny object and throw it in front of the puppy. The audience for Modern Warfare 3 is the puppy, and basically Infinity Ward is just like, ooh, look, Eiffel Tower going boom! Oh, look, it's the stock market, and it's going boom! Oh, look, it's Russians, and from the Russians! It's
fucking Russians!
Yeah, and I couldn't tell you what the story is in 3 because it's just more of what basically Modern Warfare 2 was doing. It's a tad more...
it's just more insane.
Yeah, it's a tad more coherent in how it's presented, but that's not saying much.
Yeah.
So, and the multiplayer is I don't know what to say about it at this point. It's just the multiplayer. It has one new mode that's kind of cool where you have to capture the dog tags of the people you kill, which is very fun because it adds a different element to sort of just regular deathmatch. But it's still, it goes kind of back to what Modern Warfare 2 did in having so much and being so overblown. It's a little more controlled, and it's not quite as insane and grinding, but the maps are shit. They're not just boring. I think they're actually poorly designed for deathmatch. There's a lot of maps where, depending on the team you're on and where you start, you'll be at a disadvantage because they'll have high ground or something, or you'll be going around corners that they'll have defended immediately, and it's just stupid.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, the last Call of Duty game I actually played was Modern Warfare 2. But one of the reasons why I definitely decided I was not going to buy Modern Warfare 3, because I was kind of like you. I was curious and interested in what they're going to do with the campaign in Modern Warfare 3 to see if they would actually tie things up. But I watched a gameplay video of the multiplayer in Modern Warfare 3, and I tried my damnedest, and I could not spot a single thing in that video that identified it as Modern Warfare 3 and not Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
And that was at the point where it's the UI, the graphics, the weapons, everything it was the exact fucking same as Modern Warfare 2. Where at the least, even though Modern Warfare 2 was fundamentally the same game as Modern Warfare 1, literally had the same engine, at least sort of the trappings and everything around it tried to make it seem like it was a different game. Tried to think it was a step forward. There's the graphics were at least somewhat improved. If I look at Modern Warfare 2, I can tell it's Modern Warfare 2. If I look at Modern Warfare 1, I can tell it's Modern Warfare 1 immediately, just based on what's happening on the screen, based on the graphic quality, based on how the user interface looks different. Modern Warfare 3, I couldn't do that. I looked at it and I was like, this is a fucking Modern Warfare 2 gameplay video. And when that happened, I was like, I can't buy this game. I cannot justify buying a game when I can't even fucking tell the difference.
I completely agree. And I played the fucking thing. You cannot tell the difference. Even the menus, when you're loading out and you're just getting into the games, the matchmaking lobby is the same. It's identical. And then it even goes down to the thing where when you're getting shot, how the blood splotches come up. Same animation for those.
No, I saw, the blood was the exact same, too, when I was watching the gameplay video. It's just really... Because, it's one thing that I play a lot of franchises, like Gears of War. Gears of War does not change that much in between the different installments. If I look at Gears of War 1, 2, or 3, I can immediately tell which one it is. Yes. I can immediately tell. Modern Warfare 3, fucking nope, it looks like Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah. So, I do not like that game that much. Honestly, I don't even know if I touched Spec Ops. I probably should have, because that would have been the most fun. But you get burned pretty fast.
Yeah, I was burned out after Modern Warfare 2. Playing Modern Warfare, then World at War, then Modern Warfare 2, killed it. Because it's not only did I dislike a lot of the design decisions in Modern Warfare 2, ultimately, I also was just having franchise fatigue. It was like Assassin's Creed. I was I can't play the same fucking game every year. You have to really at least change how it feels. Even if the gameplay is fundamentally the same, it has to feel different when I'm playing it. Like Halo 3 to Halo 4 feel like different fucking games.
Yeah.
Yeah, Call of Duty has failed to do that. And even though, again, they are good games, despite all of this, the fundamental gameplay is still good. It has to be good because it was good in Call of Duty 4. But it's if I want to play it, I still will just replay Call of Duty 2 or Call of Duty 4 because I really like those games. I don't need to buy a new one. And I think that's really where I come down on it ultimately is that I don't need to buy a new one because it's not enough has changed to justify buying another game. And I feel I wish a lot of other people were at that place because I would like to have a Call of Duty 4 again. I would like to have another Call of Duty game that I was really excited to play because I fucking love Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 4. And again, I kind of want to play Black Ops 2.
Here's what I think. I kind of want to play it because I've heard very good things about how they've changed things, but I think I've decided, just because I've been burned so many times and because I have modern, I have Call of Duty multiplayer suites that are still active and are still fun.
Yeah.
I will not play another Call of Duty game until there's a new engine.
I'm definitely not going to play any more multiplayer. Like, if
Yeah.
I do play Black Ops 2, I'm going to wait until I can get it really cheap and play the campaign. Because that's, like, some of the stuff they did with the campaign Black Ops 2, from what I've read, where they add in player choice, like, legitimate player choice in the terms of, like, directing the story in different directions, making an interesting, more personal story in a Call of Duty game, that sounds really fucking interesting, and that's kind of why I want to get Black Ops 2, is because I do want to reward that. Yes, we're taking the story, we're doing something interesting with the campaign, even if the multiplayer seems like you need to have a new engine at some point, because.
But that's for me on all levels, is because they can do these little new things with it, but at the point where every game looks like the exact same fucking game and it plays like the exact same game, I don't know how much that player choice is really going to enter into it in the end. And maybe on next generation consoles, they will finally be forced to say, hey, it's been 6 years, it's been 7 years.
Well, yeah, I think at the very least, it should force their hand to be like, okay, yeah, let's make a new engine, because we have new hardware.
Yeah, but
take that step forward.
We've talked about this before. If Call of Duty falls financially, it's going to be because they will not adapt to a next-gen console.
Yeah, I think that will be the next critical step. I think, but this is the interesting thing with Call of Duty, where I would have thought that Black Ops 2 would not have made nearly as much money that it was. I was not expecting it to be. I was expecting it to make a lot of money, but again, it felt like, and this might just be because I'm sort of too segmented at this point off from the demographic that Call of Duty's aiming at. But it's it felt like a lot of people were really cold on Modern Warfare 3, especially, the core gaming audience. If you go on just sort of general gaming forums, people are really against Call of Duty, and part of it is because Call of Duty is really popular, and they just it's one of those things it's too popular that we're going to have to hate on it. But then a lot of it is just genuine franchise fatigue, and you have not changed enough, and you need to do something new. And it's very interesting to me that I feel like I have gotten to this point where I'm so disconnected from that side of the gaming market now that it's I can't understand why Black Ops 2 sold as well as it did after Modern Warfare 3.
I don't get it.
So I don't know what has to happen now for Call of Duty to have to take a really big financial hit. I don't know what needs to occur. It seems like it needs to have a misstep in the next generation, where if they don't really put a good step forward in the next generation, they might fall behind, or there needs to be another Call of Duty 4 from another franchise that sort of pushes things in a new direction that becomes really popular. It seems like something has to kill Call of Duty. It's not like Guitar Hero, where Guitar Hero died. It died a slow, painful, wailing death because Activision just milked it and was putting out 3 releases a year. Yeah, even though it had some competition in Rock Band is not why Guitar Hero died. Guitar Hero died because Activision fucking killed it.
And then they killed Rock Band in the process, which was trying to be much more disciplined, where they weren't, Rock Band 3 was 2 or 3 years after 2, and they were being very measured. We have the game, that's all you need.
That's a good point. Activision didn't just kill Guitar Hero, Activision killed the rhythm genre.
Yeah.
This is fucking impressive. Other than, I guess the new thing is kind of dancing games, which are kind of in the same genre, but the Guitar Hero and Rock Band thing, kind of dead now.
It's totally dead.
Yeah. And it feels like that should have happened to Call of Duty at this point. It's remarkable that it hasn't. So it seems like, I guess that's not going to happen to Call of Duty. Call of Duty won't just die. It seems like something has to kill it. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
Russians will kill it.
Yeah, because they're evil, right?
Yeah.
It's the fucking 70s again. Russians are evil.
All right. Anything else to say about Call of Duty?
No, I think we kind of, again, I feel like I just have to keep on saying this, that they are technically good games. They're still good games, but it's I want to see, I want to see to me, what's so most interesting thing about Call of Duty at this point is that it makes so much money, and I'm curious academically to see what happens with that. I'm intellectually stimulated by this. What's going to happen to Call of Duty? How does Call of Duty make this much money, and how is it going to not make that much money in the future?
Right.
Because eventually it's going to have to go away somehow, I guess. Hopefully. I hope for not at Call of Duty 57 a couple of years down the line, and Call of Duty's still going strong. I hope that doesn't happen.
I could conceivably, though, see Activision killing this similar to how they did Guitar Hero, and that people forget Guitar Hero didn't just go annual; it went fucking quarterly.
I mean, they were like putting out like Guitar Hero, Aerosmith, and like Van Halen. Like when they started doing specific band games that were full-priced Guitar Hero games, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, but do you think it's possible that they find another developer, add them into sort of the fucking like pit of developers they have working on Call of Duty, and make this biannual, and then
I don't know, because they have Treyarch and Infinity Ward
and Sledgehammer Games.
Yeah, and Sledgehammer, and we should say one thing we kind of glossed over with Infinity Ward is that the Infinity Ward now is not the Infinity Ward that made Call of Duty 4. After Call of Duty 4, Activision fucked them over. Like I mean, I don't know the full details of the case, but it was kind of big controversy at the time where the two leads of Infinity Ward, I think Jason West and Vince Zampella, both sort of were saying that they were owed a lot of money in terms of royalty from Call of Duty, that Activision was not paying them, and so then eventually there's this huge lawsuit. Then they left. A lot of the people from Infinity Ward left and made Respawn Entertainment, which I don't think has actually made a game yet. But yeah, that like the Infinity Ward studio like was sort of like tore down and reconstructed for Modern Warfare 2 and then post Modern Warfare 2. There's this really great YouTube video that came out after that all happened, where it was like the credits to Modern Warfare 1, and like this dude just like with like Microsoft Paint in red, just like crossed out all the names of the people who were like left Infinity Ward. It was like half the list.
Oh God.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something where it's like, hopefully Respawn Entertainment comes out with something really cool, because I missed Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 4, and I guess that's why the Modern Warfare games are what they are. It feels like because the minds behind the original games are not there anymore. Yeah. So the franchise is not what I want it to be, and that's really depressing for me because I love those fucking games.
Oh well.
I wish I could be that excited for another Call of Duty game.
Well, you know what we are excited for, Sean, here at WGTC Radio?
What?
The Hobbit.
Yes, we are.
And that may seem like a weird segue, because it is.
But
we have to.
I'm too sad talking about Call of Duty. Let's talk about something that's not making me depressed anymore.
The Hobbit can't possibly make you depressed. It's great. It's perfect. And The Hobbit is coming out in theaters on December 14th.
Yes.
Finally.
Yes, it fucking is. It has been a long time coming.
Yes, or part one. It's part one of 3.
Yeah.
So
but that's a good thing, because then we just have 2 more movies after that to look forward to.
Yes. And we will talk about all that in the next podcast, but we are basically devoting the next month of WGTC Radio to celebrating the world of The Hobbit and J.R.R. Tolkien and Peter Jackson and New Zealand and Middle-earth.
Yep, because I don't know if you realize this, if you're listening to this podcast, but we're kind of really nerdy people, and it's kind of surprising. We realized we had not done, even in our like previous iterations of our podcast, we have not done a proper J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, like let's sit down and talk about this podcast. We've addressed it sometimes, but we haven't done just a proper podcast month of Lord of the Rings.
And we have so much to say because we're both kind of junkies for this stuff. I mean, I think it's safe to say The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit is one of, if not the single, like favorite fictional story of ours.
Yeah, no, it's definitely up there as like one of my with like Star Wars and Halo is like my key franchises of fiction that I adore and obsessed with and would know way too much about.
And definitely influenced how we view fiction and literature and film and all these things. So we're going to talk about all that. And we're going to do this leading up to the release of The Hobbit. So there are 3 weeks left, 3 weeks of podcasts, 3 Mondays before The Hobbit comes out. So on week 1, which is next week, we will be talking about basically the world of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And that's going to be focusing on the literature side of things. So if you want to do your homework for the episode, read The Hobbit, read The Lord of the Rings, look at the Silmarillion so you get what we're talking about there. You don't have to read that.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed if in a week you had enough time in your personal life to just sit down and read The Hobbit and the entire Lord of the Rings.
I'm doing that right now, but I'm going
to say right now, I'm not going to be able to do that. So don't expect me to reread. I reread The Hobbit like a couple of months ago, so that should be fine. But don't expect me to have reread The Lord of the Rings by the time we do the next podcast.
That's fine. But we will be talking about all that. We'll be talking about sort of our memories of the series, how we got into it, and just focusing on the book side. We may mention the films a couple times. That's not the focus of next week. The week after that, week 2 of Hobbit Mania, or whatever we're going to call this, will be the world
of... We have to find some sort of alliteration with Hobbit.
Hobbit hype? Hobbit?
That's terrible.
That's terrible.
We'll work this out.
We will. We will talk about, on week 2 of this, the movies, the world of the films. We will talk about all 3, the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Peter Jackson movies, why we love them, and why we're kind of looking forward to the Hobbit movie and all this. And that'll be great. We have a lot to say about those. They are my favorite movies of all time. They're definitely one of Sean's favorites.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. So we have plenty to say, and we've never talked about them before in any great depth.
Yeah, so we have to get it recorded for posterity, our thoughts on Lord of the Rings.
Absolutely. And then week 3, this will be the week The Hobbit comes out. It will be that Monday the 10th. Hobbit comes out on the 14th. We will be, sort of previewing the movie and talking about our thoughts of this Hobbit trilogy and all these things. And we will be offering our thoughts and possibly an audio commentary for your listening pleasure on the 1977 Rankin Bass Hobbit animated musical.
Yes, the first Hobbit movie, possibly the best movie based on the J.R.R. Tolkien franchise, like above the Peter Jackson stuff. I fucking love that movie.
It's great. We're going to watch it. We're going to talk about it. And like I said, I think it would be fun because it's a short movie. It's 70 minutes. We could easily do this.
Yeah, it's shorter than our usual podcasts.
Yes.
By far.
We'll do an audio commentary on it, and you can sync it up, and we'll get all that ready for you. But we are excited for this month. And then obviously the week after The Hobbit comes out on a Friday. That next Monday will be our discussion of the film.
Yeah.
Or of An Unexpected Journey.
Yeah, so. the first third of The Hobbit.
Yes. So we're very excited. Can't wait to share this all with you. So we'll see you later.
Yeah.